pull up a chair. This is Off the Back Porch. Off the Back Porch with Sandy and Boomer is brought to you in part by Country Village Sporting Goods. Everything you need to get in the woods, the water, or to the camp is at Country Village Sporting Goods. Jason Hardy State Farm. Like a good neighbor, Jason Hardy at State Farm is there. And Larry's Pizza in El Dorado, home of the Double Pizza Parade.
20 plus years of bringing you the most important and latest information with local happenings, news, sports, opinions, and probably an attempt at humor. Also brought to you in part by Davis Farms Country Market. For farm to table fresh, it's Davis Farms Country Market. Cook's Body Shop. Chances are it will happen. And when it does, look to Cook's. Murphy Arts District. For the latest information on concerts and events, go to eldomad.com.
Recorded live from Main Street Pizza in historic, beautiful downtown El Dorado, Arkansas. With a history of being the voices you trust. This is Off the Back Porch with Boomer and Sandy. Or Sandy and Boomer. Or two old guys you've known for a long time, whatever. And now your hosts, Troy, Boomer, Barrios, and B.A. Sandy Sanford.
Hey, and welcome to another edition. Well, first of all, thanks, Johnny Dean.
Yeah, big voice guy.
Yeah, thanks, Johnny Dean, and welcome to another edition of Off the Back Porch with Sandy and Boomer. And you probably haven't noticed, but we
got the band back together.
We're not in the same location.
Yes, we're a different location.
We're definitely in a different location, and I have been telling our special guest, Steve Harrell, like he needs any introduction.
Yeah.
I've been telling Steve, so for all those who say that's your baby daddy, give him a call. He's in town right now.
Yeah. But he's got a job.
He's got one of them jobs where they can garnish his check. Anyway,
and this is why I'm here.
Yeah, to defend your honor,
to defend my name.
Yes.
Now, notice I did not say defend my good name. I'm defending my name.
So we've been telling Steve for like 8 months. Yeah. Steve, you just get here.
Yeah.
I don't care what day of the week it is. We normally record on a certain day of the week. I said, I don't care when it is.
Yeah.
We'll turn our schedules around to meet with you, to have you on the podcast. And so he was available tomorrow. I was available tomorrow, but Boomer wasn't available tomorrow. Yeah. So here we are late at night in downtown El Dorado, Arkansas. And thanks to our friends here at Marilyn's. Marilyn's on the corner here on the square in downtown El Dorado, Arkansas, for being our hosts for tonight.
You know, this has been several things. Before it was Maryland's, it was a bank.
It sure was. I forgot about that. It was a bank.
Yeah. Bancorp South. Southern Bancorp was here for a while. Yeah.
Yeah, I forgot about that.
And then back in the day, wasn't it Labella's?
No.
Labella's is on the other corner.
I know it's on that corner, but it used to be over here, didn't it?
I don't remember that.
Yeah, it was over here. That was before y'all, not before you.
I was going to say, now hold on a minute.
Steve was born here.
Now, who are we going to trust? We're going to trust Boomer's memory.
He's got a memory?
Or the guy who's lived in El Dorado since he was born. Now, he moved away. He's moved away now. But he's from here. You know, there's a difference in living here and being from here.
I am definitely from here.
He is from here.
And as I recall, there were several discussions when we were all together in our previous life about where things used to be.
Yes.
Yeah, we've always had those conversations.
It's like driving pop-up somewhere. Remember what used to be there?
You can't get directions from locals around here, especially when you get to a certain age, because we'll tell you where it used to be.
You know where the Piggly Wiggly used to be?
Yeah.
No.
You know where Hokies was?
Yeah, where Hokies. Or what was that? What was the bar across over there by the Long Branch that was?
Yeah,
it's not there anymore.
No.
What was the name? Anyway, there was a bar there, and you could say where that bar used to be.
By the way, that was the greatest acoustics I've ever sang at.
You sang in the bar over there?
I sang at that bar over there. I ran karaoke for a year or two in there.
Yeah.
The only other place that is even anywhere close to those acoustics that were in that building, which was built back in the 30s, I believe.
It was an old building.
The Grand Ole Opry.
Yeah.
Has got similar acoustics to that building that they tore down.
Yeah. You know that they tore. Almost said it. Not Hokies. Anyway. See, ask me questions.
We had Mark Givens on the podcast a few weeks ago, and we were talking about David Allen Coe. And, you know, he had David Allen Coe here in town, and they were over at what at that time was called the Silverado Club.
Mm-hmm.
And he talks about it like 2 o'clock in the afternoon, per the contract for David Allen Coe. You cut the air off.
You did.
And
I've been at 2 David Allen Coe concerts. I was the DJ for the first one I saw. And yeah, you have to cut the air.
And what did he do that for? Why did he do that?
He didn't want any air circulating to make him sick. Now, he was in a room, the one I DJ'd, he was in Texarkana.
Mm-hmm.
There were 1,500 people in the room, and it was smoking loud. So he wanted no air in a room that was basically
full
a
of
chimney.
Smoke.
so he's worried about his lungs and his voice in a room full of smoke.
Go figure. Go figure. Anyway.
You know, so for those who don't know, and I can't imagine there are many, but for those who don't know, Steve and I and Boomer all worked together years ago in radio.
In the aughts.
And we worked together in radio. And we have a ton of war stories, a ton of them. Some we cannot even tell because the statute of limitations is not passed. So we can't tell all those.
Well, you know, before you and I did games, Steve and I did a lot of El Dorado games from the stands.
Yes.
And when you were doing the TV,
Yes.
Steve and I were doing the games. And a lot of fun times there.
A lot of fun times. I remember I thought I was going to get stabbed in a restaurant in Pine Bluff.
Stabbed it. Yeah, we've told that story.
That's okay. I want Steve to tell it from his perspective.
So we couldn't eat at a fast food place because apparently Sandy has issues. So we have to stop at this little.
Why did it come to you?
My whole thing, because first of all, I was paying for it.
Oh yeah.
Well, that too.
Bill was.
Yeah, someone. But let me just say, I don't drive out of town to eat at McDonald's.
To eat at McDonald's where I can get it at home. Yeah,
that's my only thing.
And Steve's idea was, let's go to McDonald's because I know what it's going to be.
We can get something to eat and go.
And it was 11 o'clock at night. We're in Pine Bluff,
Arkansas.
And I didn't want to just drive around 3 white guys in a vehicle in Pine Bluff. So, we stopped at this place and we've ordered our food. Well, by the way, you had to order your food about 2 feet above your head.
That's funny how we all remembered that part of the store.
It's a spot in a wall where it looks like a window unit used to hang.
Yeah, window unit used to be.
It's about that size, but it's way up here. Now, none of us are blessed with vertical height, right?
Yeah.
So we're looking at this thing and like they have to lean out and look down at you.
So we order our food and then we sit down. And then this older white gentleman comes in, and he may have been the most racist human being on the planet. And while he's waiting for his food, he is cussing out the 3 black women back there fixing the food. Now, I don't know if you're aware of this, but never, ever insult the people who are handling your food.
With racial epithets.
And so, at one point, and I don't know if it was Boomer or I said it, after he got through talking, I went up and said, we are not with him.
Steve banging on that hole, on that wall with the hole in it, and they poked their head out and said, I just want y'all to know he's not with us. And here's what the woman said.
Oh, that's just
Bubba.
Yeah.
He's been dropping the N-word.
His Trans Am played Dixie when he pulled up.
Yes, he did. Now, Boomer and I are the only 2 in the restaurant.
Yeah, because I'm on the phone with Randy Rainwater.
Yes, you are.
Okay.
And so, and I think as soon as he walked out with his food, I looked at Boomer and said, I wouldn't eat anything in that bag.
Ain't a thing in his bag that I would eat. No.
That's funny.
And then we had the incident. I don't know if Boomer was with us on this one.
No,
if it was Ruben.
No, I wasn't
Ruben, yeah.
I still, to this day, and you know, they say never speak ill of the dead, so we're not speaking ill of him, but I still have yet to understand Stephen Gay's issue with
Red Lobster.
With Red Lobster.
Charlie Daniels.
Well, that too.
No, he wouldn't. I wanted to go. We found a Red Lobster. We were looking for IHOP. But we found in the same big parking lot a Red Lobster. I said, oh, great, Red Lobster's better than IHOP. And he said, verbatim, I do not eat anything that swims around in its own toilet. And then we go to IHOP. And he orders eggs. At which point I chime in, I hate to tell you where that comes from.
Because somewhere along the way, somebody said, the next thing to come out of that hen's butt, I think I'm going to eat it.
Yeah.
Somebody had to say that.
That's a very strange man.
That is.
But yeah.
But so he said fish do it in the water, so he's not.
Prior to that, upon our arrival, it said IHOP. Our waiter walks up
Hello.
He has lip gloss on. Mm-hmm. He smacks him lips a couple times. Casey Wright was with us, wasn't he?
It was 3 of y'all. I know it was.
Well, I know it was just the 3. I thought there was 4 of us.
I think there was 4.
Was it Nick Johnson?
It was Nick Johnson. Yeah.
God.
Where were y'all going?
We had been at a ball game.
Junction City state championship
game, yeah. And so Ruben comes out, he pops that lip gloss, and how we know his name is Ruben because he says, "Hello, my name is Ruben, and I will be your waiter on tonight."
On tonight.
On tonight.
Yes. And again, he's popping that lip gloss. Yes, fabulous. And so when it comes time to order, I said, "Ruben, I think I want chicken and waffles." We ain't got that. That's what he said. We ain't got that.
Yes.
And I said, "Ruben, I'm looking right here on the menu. Y'all got waffles. Right here, you got chicken. Come on, Ruben. There's got to be at least one brother in that kitchen. You can go in there and say, hey."
Dude,
and Ruben says, "There's nothing in that kitchen but Mexicans, and I don't go in there because someone will get stabbed."
Stabbed it. And I've used that word ever since.
Me too. We use that all the time. I've got more.
I'm so glad Steve's here just to verify to our audience that this actually happened.
That we weren't making up all this stuff.
I just told Sandy right before we got on the air, I was on radio for 6 years, 05 to 11. 6 years. I've got more stories from those 6 years than the rest of my life.
Than the rest of your 54 years,
yes.
right?
Yes.
Yeah. Pretty much my radio career. That's
it. With just a
matter
lot
of
of
fact,
stories.
We were coming back from Little Rock because I'd left some equipment, and Junction City was playing in the semifinals against Woodlawn, so we had to leave the Razorback LSU game after the third quarter.
Yeah,
which was all right because LSU was up and they were still up when the game was over. So we're going down there. We stop on the way to Woodlawn to fill up with gas. We stopped.
Oh my gosh, I forgot about this.
And Sandy goes in to pay for the gas and comes back out. Well, there's a Jeep right next to us with a bunch of teenagers, and they're smoking dope.
Yeah.
At the pump. Because apparently in Woodlawn, gas is not flammable.
At the pump.
At the pump, apparently.
Not from weed.
No,
a cigarette maybe, but not from weed, it's not.
And I have never been, we had stopped, same trip, we'd stopped in Pine Bluff to get directions, and we stopped at this convenience store.
I forgot about that too.
And it was filled with a lot of people, mostly African Americans. I was not scared or worried. It was they were friendly.
I was comfortable.
Yeah. We got directions from them to get to where we needed to go. They were great. I've never been more scared in a gas station as I was in Woodlawn.
In Woodlawn,
where all the white kids,
3 white kids over there hitting a bong at the gas pump. Still remember though that night. So Junction jumps out there, and I mean, like 3 possessions, 3 touchdowns, plus maybe like a pick 6. It's like 28-0 with like 10 minutes still to go in the first quarter. I mean, they
just jumped
a blowout, and so they had these 2 twins. Junction did Fernandez. I can't remember their last name.
I can't remember.
But they handed one of them the ball. He's like 5'10", 5'11", about 190. You can put your arms out there. You're not going to wrap him up and bring him down. And he just blows through them. And
I remember those kids.
He scores again. And there's a daddy from Woodlawn, because I'm doing sideline.
It was the 2 guys holding the chains.
One of the chain gang. He yells at his kids and says, "You just don't want it bad enough." And I so badly, I relayed this to Steve on the air, by the way. And I said, "Steve, I want so badly to turn around and tell him, want to has nothing to do with it."
Yeah. At the time, Junction City was the defending powerlifting state championship.
That's
all
right.
divisions.
All divisions,
So you can want to all you want, but when you're facing a 5'6", 5'7" guy that can leg press or 700 pounds,
he can press
try
you.
to stop him.
He can press you out of the way.
You're not gonna bring that guy down.
Those poor Woodlawn kids had no prayer because Junction was going to run sweep left, sweep right, and then they were going to run it up the middle.
Yeah.
And there was nothing you could do about it, especially after you got tired, and they had already worn the Woodlawn kids out.
Yeah.
You know, Junction notoriously has had some great teams over the years.
Oh my gosh,
the whole time I've been here, they've had some great teams.
And I got the opportunity. I know I did 2 Junction City State Championship as the color guy for the guy that did, and I drawing a blank
Glenn
on this.
Hayes.
Glenn Hayes. Glenn Hayes was great. But 2 state championship games, we're up there, and on the last play of the game, he froze or he paused during a crucial moment, and I just jumped in and get the they were playing Bearden in the championship game, and the last play of the game at War Memorial, ball tipped up in the air. Junction City comes down with it for the game winning.
Heaves it into the end zone. The ball is battled for, batted up in the air. It is caught. It is caught by Junction City. The Hail Mary batted into the air. Junction City's Dorian Evans catches it on the game's final play, and Junction City has won their 4th state title in school history. Unbelievable.
Then there was the one where last possession, and Junction City at that time was going to run the wishbone. They were going to run right, left, and then counter. Last possession of the game, they're down. They go 4 wide and throw the ball, and they'd had until
Carpenter threw him
Till my cousin got up there, they'd always had difficulty kicking extra points or field goals. By the way, my cousin's now the kicker at Southern Arkansas University.
Okay.
Little Mr. Henry.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So they ran it out. They passed it down, got to it, and on the last second kicked a field goal to win the game. It was so unjunction I'd ever seen.
Yes. Yeah. Oh, yeah. That was
unheard of. To have a kicker
he's amazing.
Yeah. Well,
great
El Dorado didn't have one last year either. That was a. But you heard we got a new coach.
I did hear that.
Yeah.
It looks exciting new hire.
Brett Shockley.
Yeah, that's
Brett
Scott.
Shockley.
I'm stuck on Scott.
22 years at Ouachita Baptist University.
Yep.
19 of those as the head recruiter. So he obviously recognizes talent, right?
Yep.
Coached up the offensive line and tight ends. Has had 2 tight ends go from Division II OBU into the NFL.
Nice.
And so that's a good sign.
Well, his only problem is, and I remember a former coach saying this, El Dorado just doesn't have the talent to compete with the big boys in Arkansas football.
Yeah.
Who said that?
Oh,
the one right before Scott Reed. Butch came back and won championships.
Yeah. Butch Gray.
Several time beating Marion, which he was the defensive coordinator at.
By the way, the other day I told you there was a first round. We were talking at the podcast. Said there's a first round game at the Patriots. I said I don't remember where they are. I said our coach went there. Marion. It was where it was.
That's right.
Yeah, he went as the defensive coordinator.
Well,
there.
and during that time, the kids were looking up in the stands and taking their.
There was no discipline.
Yeah, it was unbelievable.
I'll just say this, and it was some of the worst coaching I'd ever seen for an offensive coordinator, because they brought a guy in from Tennessee who was supposed to be this new thing, and he ran 4 wide receivers, 1 back, and he ran the ball all the time.
Yeah,
I remember that.
Every play
They were going to run. The defense was putting 8 guys in the box.
And we still couldn't throw it.
No, we didn't try.
That's what I meant. We wouldn't throw it.
We wouldn't throw the ball.
I remember that.
That was hard. That was hard calling those games and remaining positive.
Yeah.
But Coach Gray and Daryl Smith, who was the AD at the time, were in my office, and Coach Gray said to me, the days of El Dorado having the talent pool to be able to compete with the Texarkanas, which at that time, Texarkana, if you remember, Dennis Johnson, and they were just winning championships, right? The Texarkanas, the Pine Bluffs, and the Camdens.
The Camdens. Not like Camden, but
not even in our class.
El Dorado cannot compete with them. We don't have the talent pool. That's what he said. I looked at Daryl Smith and said, Daryl, did you hear what your head coach just said? You need to do him and you both a favor and fire his ass. If he really believes what he just said, fire his ass.
And as I recall, that year, he had the number 1 rebounder in basketball on his team at wide receiver and wouldn't throw the ball
Didn't throw the ball to him.
And that kid was a heck of an athlete. And if you'd have given him a shot, he'd have scored you a touchdown every drive. He was phenomenal.
That was hard. Those were hard years because, if you recall, what happened was we went to Magnolia to play them. It was like 3rd game of the season. We go to Magnolia. Magnolia comes out on their side. Shirt tails are all tucked in. Every kid has their helmet under their right arm, tucked over on their hip. They walk out in a single file line and get on their sideline. here we come looking like half our kids are going to a rap concert. Shirt tails out, some shirt tails in, some helmets on, some off, some dragging them behind them, some have it at their side. Got 2 kids who are on a cell phone while they're coming out. And Coach Gray was a large man, and no body shaming. But he tethered.
We can't do that.
No, but he tethered his clipboard behind him on about a 30 or 40 foot tether, and it's just back there bouncing. You and I have Bob Watson, superintendent, on the air with us in the pregame, and he's watching all this. And we go to commercial break, and he said, "Are we off the air right this second?" I said, "Yes, sir." He said, "That's not a good look, is it?"
Nope.
I said, "No, sir, it's not,
Mr. Bob."
And he said, "We've already lost this game, haven't we?"
Yeah,
I said,
and we did.
"Yes, sir, we have." And we did lose that game.
We did lose to Magnolia.
And that Monday, he called me and asked me to come down to his office. Mr. Watson did. He said, "I just wanted to let you know that I have informed Coach Gray this will be his last year as the head coach of the El Dorado Wildcats."
And Scott Reed come the first year, and with that no talent group.
07, yeah, with that no talent group.
Yep.
And won a first round playoff game. And
went
then
we went to the final.
No, not the first year.
Oh, was it the second year?
07, we lost to Sylvan Hills on the last minute drive to Sylvan Hills.
In the playoffs.
In the playoffs, yeah. And then in 08, we did lose in the state championship game against
Lake Hamilton,
who had like 7 Division I players on that team.
And they had the next year freshman quarterback for Arkansas State, who was a heck of an athlete.
Butterfield.
And the fourth quarter, he played both ways. He was the quarterback and the free safety because El Dorado was putting on a show. They were close enough that if they hadn't put him back on defense too, we had a chance at winning that game.
Because here's what was happening. The Anzalone kid was finding Taylor Reed. If you remember, Taylor Reed was a wide receiver back then.
Yes, he was.
Because he was a sophomore and Anzalone was a senior. And so Anzalone was finding Reed because Reed could just get open.
Yeah.
You know, them long legs, he would just... And you're right, El Dorado. Now, the score didn't indicate how close it was at the end, but that game was in question up until about 2 minutes to go. And
is that where you and I were out on the deck out there?
Oh, I was on the field.
Yeah, Steve was on the field.
You and I called one from out on the cold deck out there one year too.
And yeah, most years that's where we were.
Yeah.
But you and I did that game from the stands
on the
visitor
other side.
Yeah,
we ran a cable all the way up to top.
Oh, that was that on the TV?
That was TV.
Yeah. That was TV. Yeah, y'all were up there because y'all had to. It was a long day of them running cords up there to get that ready to have the TV going.
Yeah, because they all went over the back of the stadium.
Yeah, we just sent them over the back of the stadium.
That's right.
And then I think that was the one year that we weren't doing radio.
That's right.
We didn't do
radio that year.
Right.
We just did TV.
That's right.
Yeah, that's one of my favorite stories. 2 years.
Sometimes you play checkers, sometimes you play chess.
2 years before that, we'd gone to Texarkana, and
oh my gosh,
we had 2 radio stations, and we had put in a new phone line on a thing back there so we could broadcast
like
on the phone
$400
Yeah.
by the way, to have that phone line installed in time for the game.
So 2 years later, next time we go to Texarkana, or El Dorado goes to Texarkana, and we were not doing radio for the Wildcats that year. Well, about mid-afternoon, I get a phone call from a technician for AT&T saying that they couldn't run the line again. There was some different architecture out there, and they couldn't run our line for us that year. I said, well,
don't worry about it.
That's okay. We'll make do. Knowing full well it was the other radio station that had called to put that in.
Well, you know, if their play-by-play guy had even just been civil, I'm not saying it had to be nice, just be civil.
Yeah.
But he was a jerk to us.
Yeah.
Every chance he got, he was a jerk to us. And I'll never forget the day that I was walking through the press box and I heard their play-by-play guy refer to me by a nickname that I didn't know I had received from that crew as Fatty.
Here comes Fatty.
It was something about I don't remember the exact wording, but I do remember I was called Fatty. And I stopped and I said, John, I'll have you know, I'm 90 pounds down and I still got some more to go. And he nearly came out of his shoes. It scared him so bad. He didn't know I had walked in their studio or in their booth behind them.
Yeah.
Well, I remember my first encounter with not him, but the one above him.
The owner, yeah.
And he came about 2 seconds away from being thrown down the stairs in Texarkana.
You wouldn't think the world of radio would get physical.
Yeah.
But it can.
Or we think you're that important.
That's the whole thing. We knew we weren't.
Yeah.
I remember the first time we had broadcast El Dorado to do a state championship. And you came to me a month later and said, do you want to get a state championship ring? And I said, I didn't play it down.
Yeah.
Now, that's the way we felt about it.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
That was not the way other people felt about it.
The other station, they all their announcers, their sideline guy, they all bought state championship rings. I didn't think we deserved one.
We didn't.
But I wanted to ask. I didn't want to just assume.
And I appreciate that, but no.
Yeah,
we were happy to be a part of the state championship, but I didn't score a touchdown. I didn't make a single block.
I didn't call a play.
I didn't.
I
called a few.
Not before it happened.
Yeah, I called it during it.
So let me go ahead and let everybody in on a little secret that Steve has swore he would never tell, and I appreciate the fact that to this moment, as far as I know, he's never told. One year, and I think it was 2011, state championship game, we're doing it for TV, and somehow or another, zero audio got recorded. All the video's there, but no audio. And Carmen, who was the media pastor over at Cross Life at the time, calls me in a panic and said, oh my God, what are we going to do? I said, not a problem. Can you record just audio? She said, yeah. I said, we'll come do the game. What do you mean? I said, set it up in your studio there.
We'll call it.
And we'll call
it as it goes.
And she said, well, we won't have back. I said, I got that. I went to Steve. I said, Steve, they lost the audio. We're going to have to go re-record this thing, all the play-by-play. I think was it me and Kelly Gall?
I think so.
And we're going to do all the play-by-play. I want you to get some crowd noise into an audio file, maybe some referee whistles, stuff like that. And I want you're going to plug into the board with us, and you're going to play those sounds while we do
at the appropriate times.
While we do the play-by-play. And he's like, okay.
This will be fun.
And now, dirty little secret is, Troy Mitchell, who was the sports information director at the time for Henderson State University, always contracted with the AAA, and he gave you, as soon as the game's over, he would print out a play-by-play
stats
of every single play. Taylor to Reed to so-and-so, called it the 15, runs it to the 19.
First and 10.
Tackled there, first and 10.
You know how easy it is to do play-by-play when you know what's about to happen?
So, now, we've been...
So you could say, well, you know what I think they ought to do on this one, Kelly?
So, we're doing all this,
You're
right?
Smartest man in the world now.
We're doing this. But now, we've been cooped up. There's like 7 of us in this little room off the back of the church, and there's no air, and we're punch drunk at this point. And so we're getting down there, and I look down at the next play, and it's a drag route across the middle. And I said, Kelly, last couple plays, I don't know if you've noticed or not, but that little tight end drag route has been open. And he's like, Sandy, I did notice that. And Steve's over there glaring at us. Sure enough, Reed comes up next play, bam, hits him on that drag route, and he goes for 40-something yards. A couple plays later, I said, the way those linebackers are crashing in, a little screen pass, if they could get around that left edge, he could be gone.
Yeah.
So here it is, screen pass to Cam Mahone, gone. 6 points,
This is better than the real thing.
And so we go to commercial break, and Steve's like, okay, y'all got to stop. We didn't stop.
No, they didn't.
Yes,
that was fun, though.
I didn't know that.
No, we didn't tell anybody.
No, I wasn't there then.
The first game, there was a season before I got to go to Smackover football.
Yeah.
That I was y'all's lackey. I would show up for games 3 hours early to set your equipment up, and then y'all would broadcast the games. Well, once again, we're in Texarkana, and you're doing the play-by-play from the stands. Troy's sitting right next to you. And I start reading the defenses and just feeding the information to Boomer. And he's like, did Steve tell you that? Don't listen to him. He doesn't know what he's talking about.
Well, the problem is that Steve's describing it in Madden defense.
Yeah.
You know, in like Madden 11, you know, Madden 2K defenses.
Yeah. Yes.
That's a diamond 4. I'm like, Steve, no one knows what a diamond 4 is.
Yes,
It was
Steve.
a cover 4.
Steve's got
And
it.
this was not Madden. I studied football in college.
Yes.
It was more advanced than the listeners we were going for.
Yes.
I will grant you that.
It was, yeah.
Sandy says it's just somebody's grandma.
You know, the biggest thing, I had to pull all the play-by-play guys. I said this last week on the podcast. I had to pull all the play-by-play guys in one day and just go over a general lesson of doing play-by-play, because you are the eyes for those person. You have to paint that picture. And bless his heart, Glenn Hayes and those guys that were doing the Junction games, they watched the game.
Yes.
You don't know what happened. You just know eventually they'd tell you whether Junction scored or not. And
Yeah, they
I
were
just
fans.
I couldn't listen.
Now-
I couldn't
They were
listen to
fans.
him.
I will say this, and it annoyed me the entire time, but he was such a great guy. I never could correct him, but I did smack over with Chris Long.
Yeah.
And Chris Long, in the middle of the play, if they broke a big one,
He starts
Chris
screaming.
is going to yell into the microphone, and there's nothing I can do about
Nothing
it.
you can do, yeah.
And so I would have to go back and describe what had happened to get to the screen. So that's just one thing. You get excited. You're invested in these teams.
That's right.
So you get excited. So the play-by-play guy can raise his voice and go on, but still describing. Color guy's got to stay out of
you
it
got to stay
until
out
I'm
of-
through.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, you know, my rule has always been from the time the huddle breaks until the whistle blows, that belongs to the play-by-play person. The moment that whistle blows, play-by-play guy shut up, it belongs to the color commentator until that they break the huddle. And if they're running a no huddle, at least until they get their call, their play in.
Just let him say a sentence.
Now one, I did have to chastise a couple of play-by-play guys when I was the sports director, because you have to understand, not every team has radio. So the visiting team is listening to you
Sometimes,
too.
yeah.
So you cannot call the other team a bunch of thugs, which happened. You cannot call them.
Yeah, definitely a homer if you call another team
you can't.
thugs.
And because sure enough,
But they were.
they were a bunch of thugs. I'll grant you that. But Grandma's listening
Was
to
it
that.
Rising? I'm trying to remember who it was.
Bearden.
Okay.
Now, I'm sure they're much better now. I've been away for a
I'm
while.
absolutely 100% positive, yeah.
So, but yeah, you can't say those things because
Yeah.
Grandma's on both teams are. And now I got chastised. Dusty Ryan chewed me out one time. I was doing basketball, and El Rey was playing Camden Fairview. And Camden Fairview had this girl. She was 6 foot tall, 230,
Okay.
and I called her a big girl.
Oh.
She was a big girl,
Yeah. The
but
big
I'm
girl.
not supposed to
They-
say that.
they threw it into the big girl.
I'm not supposed to say that. So,
To this day, Grant Merrill still gives me boatloads of hell over some of those games we did at Dual State Tournament. And I told him, I said, first of all, Grant, no one can be held accountable for what happens during Dual State.
No.
When you do 70 games over 5 days, there's going to be some stupid stuff that gets said. He's like, but Sandy, you said she's holding the ball like a welfare baby. And he said, I'm still not sure I understand what that means. And I said,
What is the connotation?
what it
Explain
means
that to
is,
me.
y'all are going to knock that out of our hands, because let me tell you, you can drop that other kid, but that one that's drawing a check, you don't drop that one.
Sandy.
You don't.
It's true.
listen, he still says this word to me every once in a while.
And I said it to Mark Givens when he was with us a couple weeks ago.
It was it was my 8th game of the day. I'd had 5-minute breaks for halftime and between games because that's how Dual State runs. But this kid from Strong, his name was Lakenderrick. And I called him for a full half. Lakenderick.
So
Not Kendrick.
I'm listening to him all the way down to Junction, because I'd done like 2 games that morning. He comes in and does like he said, probably the next 8, and I'm going to do the last 2 of the night. I'm driving down there, and I'm listening. I'm thinking, man, that's a weird name, Lakenderick. And well, Strong either wins or loses, so they have to play the very next game, the first one I'm doing. And Mark Gibbons is with me on the air, and I was like, and the pass goes to LaKendrick. And he said, is that how you pronounce that? Because Steve called him Lakendrick the entire game.
LaKendrick, yeah.
LaKendrick. That's what I assumed it was.
Listen, I was punch drunk. 8 games in a row with no breaks. Yeah, that was it was. Listen, I loved dual state. I loved doing it. I volunteered for every game I could get. Tournament. And I paid for vacation 3 years in a row off the paycheck from dual state.
That's right.
Loved it. Okay, so let's talk about something else a little bit. We'll get off sports a little bit.
Okay.
Let's get off the fact
hang on. He had something on his mind.
He came with
I do. I came up here to defend myself.
With an agenda.
Now, for those of you who don't know how radio works, when you're out of town or it's a holiday, you record the show the day before you can.
I know where this is going.
So these two, I had to go to Little Rock to record a game on a Friday night. Well, we recorded, Monday was New Year's Eve.
Okay.
So y'all recorded it without me Friday night.
You'll remember here in just a second.
Well, Monday morning, I'm sitting at about 8 o'clock in the morning. I'm sitting at the poker table in Shreveport.
Yeah.
I get a phone call from my mama. She goes, where are you?
Where are you?
I said, I'm in Shreveport. Oh my God, it's true. I said, what's true? The Kicks 103 right now is having a telethon to raise money for your bail because you got arrested on New Year's Eve in Shreveport.
Yeah, I'd forgotten that. I forgot. She goes, oh my God, it's true.
And apparently you've got a cellmate named Bubba. Oh yeah, listen, and the charge,
big bus.
The charge for me was carnal knowledge of a farm animal.
That was a long time ago, Steve.
I forgot what the charge was.
Brother, you've been holding that all this time?
Yes, he has.
Yes, I have. And so every time it worked out that we were going to be, it was a holiday and we were going to have to record the show and I wasn't going to be there. If you'll recall, I would make a statement on the air just before we went off the air to not believe a word y'all said the next time. It's a lie. It's a dang lie.
It's a dang lie. I'd forgotten that. That the kicker of the story, carnal knowledge
of a farm animal. I think we had Miss Mercille, cousin Cletus. Everybody was sending in money. Everybody was sending money in. I was telling my 10-year-old the other day. You know, I can't say the 9-year-old anymore. Now she's 10.
10, yeah.
Yeah. So I was telling her the other day. We were somewhere and somebody asked me about some of the characters I used to do. And they're like, I never knew that was you till you said on the podcast. I didn't know you were Cousin Cletus. I didn't know you were Miss Mercille. And
neither did I.
Yeah, I know.
The first time Ms. Mercille called in, I hung up on her.
He hung up on me.
Mm-hmm. Well, you were in Little Rock. I didn't think you were even going to be listening. So you called in as Ms. Mercille. And first off, if we remember the time frame, we had a couple of ladies that would call in that were not sane, to be perfectly honest. And so I thought it was one of them. Mm-hmm. And then you got my attention from your little closet.
And little hole that I stayed in all
and said,
the cage.
The cage.
That's Sandy. I was going, what? And then you called back and you got, Ms. Mercille chewed me out for hanging up on her.
Man, all I was trying to do was win some enchiladas. Yeah, I'm supposed to win them enchiladas.
We had some crazy stuff.
We did.
But so my daughter was asking me the other day, she's like, what are they talking about, these characters? And so I'm explaining to her Cousin Cletus. And Cousin Cletus, if you recall, now that's a character I started way back in the early 90s because I did a morning show by myself and I had no sidekick. So I would record Cousin Cletus and interact with him like he was in the studio with me, you know. And but when we first did it here, he spent like the first 6 to 8 times Cousin Cletus called in was trying to convince Steve they're cousins. And Steve's like, I don't have a cousin named Cletus. Well, I don't know how, because I got an uncle named Larry.
Yeah.
I forgot that.
The Copenhagen Trailer Park in Smackover, Arkansas.
Yep.
It was Mecca City Trailer Park, but that's the real one I lived in college.
So when we did MASH,
you
remember there was a girl that would come up that she couldn't speak.
Yes.
She didn't have
Yeah,
language.
She was very sweet, but she was
would
special.
bring us stuff.
I don't remember her name.
Yeah, Betty.
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 That's it.
Betty.
Yeah, Betty.
Betty
She
was the
had her-
sweetest.
She had her own car.
Yeah.
And but I just you think about people like that and said, it meant something to her.
That's all she had was us.
Yeah. And then when this was a bank, I was doing a remote right there. And while I'm setting up right here, this lady pulls up and stops right here on the crosswalk. I say elderly. She's my age now.
Elderly.
She says, who are you? I said, I'm Boomer. She goes, oh.
Never mind.
She goes, oh, and gets back in her car and drives off.
Oh, well, if
She
you were
just wanted to see who Boomer was. She goes, who are you? I said, Boomer. She goes, oh.
now,
Disappointed.
If you recall, the first year I had this little bit I would do on the air about being the world's sexiest man.
Yes.
The first remote we do, we're on Northwest Avenue at one of the banks. They were doing a bar, hot dogs and stuff, and this woman comes up, drives up in her Cadillac, pulls up, rolls down the window, and looks at me. Which one of y'all, Steve? I said, I am. And she looked me from head to toe and goes, huh. And then drives up.
Same thing.
And I knew exactly what she was doing, and I was offended.
And you and I are doing a remote downtown Camden for the Daffodil. That's not Daffodil. What is there?
Yeah, Camden is the Daffodil Festival.
And you remember the two sheriff ladies that one of them arrested me on the back of her car?
Yeah.
Bent me over and handcuffed me. I said, full body arrest, by the way, I might add. I said, I could be arrested like this every day.
He didn't stop smiling for the rest of the broadcast.
I said, you come to arrest us? She goes, yeah. She shoved me over the back of her patrol car.
No, that wasn't the worst broadcast we ever did. We did.
No, not even close.
The Hampton.
I know what
we
you-
went to Hampton, and I interviewed a bull because we were at the rodeo arena.
Yeah, they set us up. They told us, well, you want to be down here at the rodeo arena because that's where all the action's going to be. Well, maybe at 8 o'clock tonight it was going to be, but not at 2:30 in the afternoon.
Right,
They were
mean
having the
right
parade.
during the parade where everybody was at the. There was no staff. We had bulls
And us.
and us.
That was hilarious.
We did a 4-hour remote with no people.
And nobody to talk to.
And you're supposed to talk to people on remotes, and so we just went over the information. I went over and talked to a bull for a while, so it was okay. I was raised on a farm, so he didn't answer back very well. Not a very good interview.
We've had some of those on this podcast.
I can believe it.
It's just about like interviewing that bull. Steve, we've got tons of stories we're going to tell and can tell, and again, some we still can't. But let's take a break. We'll come back, and we will have more of Off the Back Porch coming up right after this.
What if I get an offender bender?
State Farm's there with the assist.
Jersey swap?
Jersey swap.
Yeah, I like this a lot.
Oh, I'm feeling this.
I assisted with security things.
Swap.
I assisted with popcorn.
Swap.
Get that jersey.
Get your corn there.
Hey, I assisted myself by filing a claim on the State Farm app.
Swap.
In my halftime show, I
It's
had
a great story.
We're done swapping. Too late, circus man.
State Farm with the assist.
32 years ago, a young Robert Rushing began his life of public service joining the El Dorado Fire Department. While saving lives during the day, Robert Rushing put himself through college and law school at night, eventually opening a law practice in 2010 to protect and serve the rights of people in South Arkansas. By the way, he was still working as a fireman at the time. And after 23 years of service, Robert Rushing answered the call again and was elected as city attorney. Today, Robert Rushing still has that desire to serve. Re-elect Robert Rushing as El Dorado City Attorney. When it comes to your family's financial future, peace of mind matters. At Harrison Financial Management, they are right here to help you plan, grow, and protect what matters most. Whether you're planning for retirement, investing wisely, or securing your family's future, they will guide you every step of the way. Harrison Financial Management, your future, their commitment.
Bad things happen, and of course, they never happen at the right time. Maybe it's just a little bump and cosmetic damage, or it's turned into a huge insurance claim and you just don't know where to go next. That's why so many of your neighbors and friends call on Cook's Body Shop in El Dorado. From the minor to the major, Cook's Body Shop is in your corner. Need someone to help you deal with insurance? Look to Cook's. Need advice on what to do next? Look to Cook's. Need a free estimate? Look to Cook's. Bad things are going to happen, and when they do, look to Cook's.
Rated the #1 course in Arkansas by Golf Week, Mystic Creek is truly a hidden gem, complemented by a modern clubhouse, complete with panoramic views. It also features a fully stocked pro shop and Mystic Grill, serving contemporary American cuisine and Southern classics. Mystic Creek promises an unforgettable experience.
Hey, welcome back for more of Off the Back Porch with Sandy and Boomer and our special guest, Steve Harrell.
What was your name on the radio when you first started?
Yeah, that's what I called Sandy in as soon as I heard that podcast.
Yeah.
My fake, and I'm not telling you what I used to call it back then, my fake DJ name was Chris Barton.
Chris Barton.
Which was the gayest name.
Yeah. Well,
they could have given you.
They didn't give it to me. I chose
He
it.
chose it.
I understand.
I wanted
That's
to be.
not the one you chose.
I chose Bo Barton, which meant something to me. It was my grandfather on my mother's side was Bo Monard.
Okay, Monard.
And so I wanted to be Bo Barton. Barton was the middle name of Cecil Harrell, my Larry's daddy. So that I wanted to be Bo Barton, but
we need to get Larry on the podcast. That's what we need to do.
You're gonna have to go to his house.
Yeah. We might.
He ain't coming up.
We might do it.
He don't get out much. I'm gonna go see him tomorrow for
him and his partner used to when they did
handyman
stuff. It said no job's too small, some too big.
Lots of jobs too big.
Lots of jobs too big.
That was cool.
Matter of fact, seeing as we're here at Marilyn's, right across the street, I don't know. I assume it's still there. Fay Ray's.
Yeah.
They built that bar.
Is that right?
Yeah.
And there's still, the last time I looked, there's a plaque on there. It said, "This is the first bar we've ever built. We've drank it many."
Well, I like that they had a deer club that nobody deer hunted at.
Yeah. Matter of fact, it took 4 years to build the actual camp. They just sit out back by the fire and drink a beer. Yeah. They had a drinking club that some people came around and shot deer at. But yeah, they would build one wall a year.
Yeah.
It took them 4 years to build the walls.
That's funny.
All right.
That's funny.
Let's start with, let's go to request for advice, if you will.
Okay.
I have weeks of these that are just backlogged,
Okay.
and I get so I'll do one, and I'll have 4 more tomorrow.
Okay.
You know, people just think it's hilarious that Boomer and I give advice, and so
I think it's pretty funny myself.
Yeah,
you're happy us up, man.
The fact that they listen to us is what's scary to me. But anyway, dear Sandy and Boomer, I left South Arkansas to get my master's here in South Carolina. My parents moved here as well. I got my master's and then I got a job here so I could stay close to my parents. My dad passed away about 3 years ago, making my now 55-year-old mother a widow. For a long time, I worried she'd spend the rest of her life alone. Turns out she hasn't. About a year ago, I found out she had been seeing someone. At first, I was relieved. She seemed happier, lighter, and like someone turned the color back on in her life. Then I found out the catch. He's married. I told her how I felt, that I thought it was wrong, and she could never truly be happy with someone else's husband. She said it was complicated, they loved each other, and that I did not understand. Maybe I don't, but I said my piece and have left it alone because she's my mom, and I'm not going to preach to her daily. A few weeks ago, let's call him Michael, passed away suddenly. That alone has been a lot for my mom to deal with. She's grieving deeply, but quietly, because she honestly can't exactly stand front and center at the funeral. His family is there, his wife is there. Now, here's where it gets more complicated. She told me she wants me to go to the funeral home and take some of his ashes after he's cremated. Not ask, not be given them, take them. She says she wants to bring them to a place they used to go together and scatter them there because, quote, that's where he was happiest. She's asked me to help her. I don't even know how to respond. Part of me feels for her. She lost someone she loved and doesn't get to grieve in the open. But the other part of me feels like this is crossing a line you can't uncross. It feels wrong, possibly illegal. Definitely something that could cause a lot more pain for his family if it were ever discovered. I told her I wasn't comfortable with it, and now she's hurt. She says I'm judging her and abandoning her at a time when she needs me most. So here I am, stuck between being a good daughter and having some kind of moral backbone. Do I help her carry out what feels like a terrible idea in the name of compassion, or do I stand my ground and risk damaging my relationship with her when she's already grieving? I love my mom, but I don't know how far that love is supposed to stretch. Signed, Ashes to Ashes.
Go ahead.
Okay, first off, and most importantly, how cute is your mom?
I mean, she's 55. Okay.
And lots of people visit New Orleans. I'm just saying. But
she has low morals.
Okay, I got my joke out of the way. So really, no. I know you love your mother, but this is illegal.
Yeah, probably there's some laws against.
Yeah, I would think some kind of abuse of a corpse or something.
Well, you can't steal somebody's body. Part of their
be as supportive as you can, but do not break the law.
Yeah, see, Mama, no.
Yeah, just you have to tell her no,
and don't write us back again. don't ever bring
not about that.
No. Yeah.
So here's what I said. I said, "Wow, Ashes. Well, first of all, your mom's a grown woman, and your refusal is not judgment; it's smart.
Yeah.
She, unfortunately, is reaping the rewards of what she had set up previously. I think perhaps put it back in her lap and tell her, whatever remains of his I take, I'll do it if I can only replace them with my dad's."
Ooh.
Oh, yeah.
Because her dad evidently passed away 3 years ago, right?
Yeah.
So, okay, if I can take, if you want me to get 8 ounces of his ashes, I need to take 8 ounces of dad's.
That's pretty smart. Yeah.
And
put the ball back in her court, didn't
See if your mom's willing to desecrate your father's remains for her lovers. And even if she is runaway,
don't do it either.
It's still not a good
no
idea.
win.
Yeah, absolutely a no-win. But that's all the advice we have. Most of the time we tell people don't listen to our advice. You might want to.
Yeah, take that one. Especially
one.
Steve's.
Yeah.
What's your mama look like?
I mean,
is she hot?
Hey, listen.
Yeah. Dear Sandy and Boomer, my wife says I don't listen. At least I think that's what she said. Should I be concerned or just keep doing what I've been successfully doing for 12 years? Signed, Stanley and Smackover.
I'm going to hit this one because it's kind of close to me, right? It's a little, close to home right now. Pay attention to your wife. If you want to have her remain your wife. It's real simple. Give her attention. Pretend you're dating her again, because you are. Because if she's saying you're not paying attention to her, that means she's already noticed.
And it'll take very little attention from someone else.
You're
to get her attention.
setting her up
for failure.
And you will be the one paying the cost. Now, so just take that advice. Pay attention to your wife.
What is it you used to say? Sympathy. Once you can fake that.
No doubt.
I remember that. I forgot that. I forget everything.
I forget about that. Yeah, well, when you get to 70, these things happen.
Yeah.
He's not 70 yet. A couple more weeks.
Couple of weeks.
I thought I was being young. I thought you were much younger than that, actually.
I am. I'll be 70 on the 16th.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Time flies.
Shoot, I'd have gone with 80 if I'd known that you were that close. I didn't really want to hit that close.
Dear Sandy and Boomer, is it normal for a grown man to hide snacks from his kids and his wife?
Yes,
definitely.
I found a Twinkie in my toolbox I forgot and I put there. Carl from Magnolia.
Yeah.
Well, Carl, first of all, congratulations on the
Carl.
Twinkie.
Because they last forever.
Yes, they'll last forever.
No. He's doing one thing wrong. Hide from your kids. Hide the snacks from your kids. Hide them in your bedroom so you can share them with your wife.
That's right. I agree with that.
That's a bonding experience.
Listen, I hide stuff from my kids all the time. So I'll buy that box of like those little small bags of Lay's chips, Yeah. Mm-hmm. And there's only 4 of those Frito chili cheese in there.
In the whole thing.
Yeah, 4 in the whole box. I take 2 of them, I put them in the tallest part of the cabinet. Since Cam don't live there anymore, I'm the tallest person in my house. so I can reach up there and put them there. No one will ever find them there. So, dear Back Porch Boys, I like that, by the way. Y'all like giving advice. Here's one for you. My neighbor waves at me every morning like he's in a toothpaste commercial. We have never spoken, not once. I think he's lived across the street from me for 6 years. If I don't wave back with the same enthusiasm, he makes sure to make eye contact with me and keep waving until I wave back sufficiently enthusiastic enough. Is he being friendly, or am I now in some kind of weird hostage situation, Keith and Camden?
You are in a weird hostage situation, and you should wave back very enthusiastically because apparently your neighbor is a serial killer.
Yeah, that's kind of my thought. Your neighbor,
Troy?
He's waving like this.
Yeah, whatever it takes.
If he's weirdo waving, you better wave back.
Yeah. Dear Sandy and Boomer, I started watching your podcast because my girlfriend said I needed to show my emotions more. But now she sits over there pissed at me because I just spent 4 straight minutes laughing at y'all. What the hell? What am I supposed to do? Nate in Ruston. Nate, you're doing the right thing.
Yeah, Nate, just show your
You're
emotions.
showing your emotions.
Yes. I agree.
Yes.
Yeah. Sandy and Boomer, my dad still calls every streaming service the Netflix. Is it my duty as a son to correct him, or do I just let the man live in his own truth?
Let him live.
Let him live.
Billy in El Dorado.
Let him live.
I think so, Billy. You just got to let it go. Well, it's on the Netflix. Which Netflix, Dad? Well, the Amazon one. Prime? Yeah, that one.
That one, yeah.
The Netflix. Which one? The one with The Sopranos. HBO Max?
Yes.
Yeah, that one. Okay.
I'm just hoping Billy's not my brother.
My oldest, Micah, when she was little, everything was chicken.
Oh, everything she ate was chicken.
Yeah. What do you want for supper, baby? Chicken? What kind of chicken? Them little ones, with the tail, popcorn
chicken.
shrimp?
Yeah.
Yes.
Shrimp chicken.
Shrimp chickens. That's what I want. Chicken. What kind? Pizza?
Uh-huh.
But it was chicken first.
It's kind of like Coke.
Yeah, Coke,
Yes.
yeah.
Coke. What kind of Coke?
Dr. Pepper.
Yeah,
Yeah.
there you go.
So, grandson had never eaten chicken with a bone in it. All he'd ever had
Really?
was
Nuggets or strips?
Nuggets and strips. And so, one of the first times that he was old enough to remember it, and we weren't buying him strips. We get the Gospel Bird on Sundays.
Yeah.
We get Popeyes on Sundays. And so he's going, well, what is this? I said, that's chicken. He goes, no, it's not. I said, okay.
It has a bone in it. Listen.
By the way, speaking of Popeyes, I want you to know Popeyes was started
In New Orleans.
Louisiana.
Yeah.
It's different
It is.
in New Orleans.
It is.
It ain't the same chicken. I don't know what farms they're going to. That's different chicken down there.
Is it the size of the chickens or the
taste?
The
of it?
taste, yeah.
The taste. It's so much better there.
Oh, yeah?
Well, that's because every lady that works in that kitchen has a grandmama that'll come out the grave if they don't season that chicken right.
Chicken correctly.
Let's see here. Next. Fellas. Like that. Not Sandy Boomer. Fellas. Help. My wife is mad at me. She watches y'all every week. She always makes me watch y'all. Here's the problem. She bought some decorative towels that no one is allowed to use. I don't even understand the concept. Just because they're decorative, that means they can't ever be washed or dried? Hell, my hands were wet, and I don't know what she did with the other towels I normally use in the bathroom. Will y'all please explain to her this was not me disrespecting her. It was just me drying my hands. Andrew in Urbana.
Yeah, here's what you got to do, Andrew. Those are the good towels. You've got to get in the cabinet and don't use the ones, the decoratives. It's a lady thing. She just wants to have something nice hanging in the bathroom in case somebody comes over and she can impress them.
Just apologize because you were obviously wrong.
Yeah.
Of course.
Don't do it again. And then we
Keep
all
a
know.
rag in your back pocket.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what your shirt's for.
Yeah, exactly.
Your sleeve.
Exactly. Let's see. Sandy and Boomer. My kid insists on calling every card game poker. Last weekend, we played Uno and Phase 10. I find out this week he went to school, and now his teachers and his principal believe he's a fantastic poker player. He told him it was the first time he ever beat me, but then said, I think it's because she had a lot of wine. Hannah in Texarkana. Hannah, welcome to parenthood.
Yep.
Because let me just tell you real quick about a story that my 10-year-old, when she was about 7, went to school and said. Now, this is the same child who got homework one time, and it said Steve goes to the store and normally buys 5 candy bars for $1. Now he only gets 4 for $1. How much is each candy bar? And she wrote 25 cents each. Thanks for nothing, Joe Biden. She put that on her classwork, okay? So this same child in that same teacher's class goes to school one day and tells her teacher, who's been mine and Casey's friend for 20-something years, right? My mom and dad are going to have another baby, and we're going to name her Felicia, so that every time we get ready to leave, we can say, bye, Felicia.
I didn't know that one.
So she texts me, y'all having another baby? I said, hush your filthy mouth. No. She said, well, Aubrey seems to think.
What Aubrey thinks.
Aubrey seems to think y'all have another baby. I'm going to name her Felicia. And right then I knew where it came from. I knew. Because I had said something about, yeah, we almost named you Felicia, so that every time we left the house, we could say, bye, Felicia.
Yeah. I'm going to tell you.
That's parenthood. You just got to get used to it.
Just checking.
Yeah.
Dear Sandy and Boomer, my mom still introduces me as, quote, unquote, my baby. I'm 31. I have a mortgage. What do I do? This is dumb. Cody from El Dorado.
Yeah. You should enjoy that your mama feels thank you the baby.
Cody.
At some point, that's going to go away.
Yeah.
Enjoy it.
Yeah. Here's the thing, Cody.
That's an endearment.
You may be 31 with a mortgage, but you will always
be her baby.
Always be her baby.
Yeah.
You will, and then someday, hopefully long time from now, she won't be there to call you.
She won't be here.
Yeah.
That's right.
In fact, our baby at our house, we still call baby Lisa, don't we?
Yeah.
It's baby Lisa.
Yeah. My oldest is 31 and graduates law school in a couple of weeks, and I still call her my baby.
Yeah.
When I took her and dropped her off at college, Steve, I said, I'm giving you one job. Your one job is take care of my baby. That's all I ask for you to do. And if at any point you feel like you're not taking good care of my baby, you call me and I'll come
bring
do
her
it.
back. Yep.
I'll come do it.
Exactly.
Okay, let's see. Sandy and Boomer. If I fix something around the house and then I don't mention it and no one ever notices, that's okay. It's what I do. So explain to me why both my wife and my teenage son need me to notice every single little thing they do. Yesterday, my wife was upset that no one noticed she cleaned that little metal ring thing on the bottom of the faucet in the bathroom. She went on and on about how gross it was and how we will now have better water. I don't drink from the bathroom fountain. That's what he said. My son says, bruh, why do I even try?
Yeah.
Because no one noticed that he closed the lid on the trash cans after the trash truck came by. Not mentioning that he still left them at the curb instead of bringing them up to the house. Am I missing something here? Jacob in El Dorado. No, Jacob. That's called being a dad.
Yeah, man, a little affirmation. That's all they want.
Bruh, why do I even try?
Bruh, yeah.
Bruh. I have been bruh. My 6-year-old has been calling me bruh for like 3 years.
You got to fix that.
Yeah, well.
No,
look,
just let it go.
This kid likes to fight. This is the boy.
He's 6.
Yeah, I
You're
understand.
still bigger than he is.
I understand. I had him in my lap one night, just a couple years ago, and we're play fighting, right? And his mama walks in, Casey comes in and says, "Hey, I told you to go to bed." And I'm like, "Yes, ma'am. Good night, buddy. I'll see you tomorrow." And she's like, "I was talking to him." I was like, "Oh, yeah. You gotta go to bed, buddy." He gets out of my lap, takes about 2 steps, turns around, and says, "I need you to get up early tomorrow because we're fighting again."
So
I slept with one eye open.
My stepson and I used to wrestle all the time when he was a teenager. He is now in his mid-20s. He's Army National Guard. Yeah. He has special training. We do not wrestle anymore.
No.
Do I miss those days? Yes, I do. Yeah. Not trying to relive them.
Did he make a tall kid? Is he?
Yes.
He's pretty tall.
Pretty tall. He married an Air Force girl.
Yeah.
Cute little thing.
Yeah. Is he still in?
Yeah, he's National Guard in Memphis. They live in St. Louis because she's stationed at the Air Force Base right outside of St. Louis.
Okay.
She spent last winter in the Middle East on assignment, so she's back.
What a great place.
Yeah.
So, especially for a woman.
Fallujah.
But yeah, they're doing well. They got married in New Orleans 2 years ago, and I finally will let him say he's from New Orleans.
Yeah.
Because before that, he was born in El Dorado, Arkansas. Mm-hmm. He graduated high school. El Dorado, Arkansas. Yeah. He then moved to Starkville, Mississippi, and graduated college at Mississippi State. From there, he moved to Memphis and worked there for 5 years until he got married. But all during that time, if you ask him where he's from, he is from New Orleans.
New Orleans. So
he's never lived. He's never lived a day in Louisiana.
Yeah.
But then he got married in there, and now I'll give him.
You can give him that. Yeah, you can let him at least come in on that. So. So obviously, I was totally out of the loop on what had happened with Tiger Woods. Y'all explained it to me, and so I went and was reading some of the stories. flipping his Range Rover and all that stuff. Well, there's another pro golfer, and I think it's one of those foreigners, so I really don't care what he thinks, but he said, I don't think we should be letting Tiger go off to a deserted island, tropical island, someone come back in a few months like everything's okay. He said, what kind of message does that send to the children? Here's my question. Who gives a damn what the children think? Why all of a sudden is everything about what kind of message does that send to the children? You can be a total fool in front of my kids, and they'll look over at me. I'll give them one of those, and they know don't act like that.
Don't say that. Don't act like that.
Don't act like that. Don't be a part of that. I remember one time I had the Munchkin, Cam, and Jax. I had worked them pretty hard that morning. We got up early that morning. I worked them pretty hard, and so I was like, come on, before breakfast stops at McDonald's, I'll carry you down there and get you some breakfast. So we're down there, and there were these kids in there who simply had no home training.
Yeah.
I mean, they're just acting a fool. And I ended up snapping a picture of my three, and they're sitting there, all three of them, their eyes are this big as they're watching those other kids, because they knew it won't take but one time for us to act even half like that, and Daddy will yank us up. And so I don't care what you do in front of my kids. I am the one who trains my kids. I don't tell them to look to Tiger Woods on how to act or react or any of that.
So I saw another video of Tiger Woods this afternoon. He's talking on the phone, and the troopers or whomever, the police are saying, Mr. Woods, if you could come over here and stay with us over here. He goes, I was on the phone with the president.
Well, he's dating his niece.
He's dating his niece.
Yeah, he's dating the president's niece.
I mean, so now...
Among how many others?
Well, now that we don't know that
we
part.
don't know that.
He's got a record.
But here's the deal. If he goes to court for not driving under the influence...
For whatever it is.
Whatever it is, the president may be a character witness for him. I was talking to the president.
So, I've known Tiger. Some would say I've known him longer than anyone. Huge friends. So... the lady he's dating, her daughter is going to college on a golf scholarship, and that girl's a golfer, man.
She is. I've seen her play.
She's like legit.
Yeah.
And so Tiger and his girlfriend, whatever her name is, Trump, they will take their kids with them, because his son Charlie is going to Florida State or Florida on a golf scholarship, and she's going to Georgia or Alabama on a golf scholarship. But they'll take them out and let them play with them. That's got to be a foursome that is like intimidating as hell, right?
Because Charlie's serious about it, brother.
Yeah, he is.
Good for him.
He is. But, it's kind of like those years we would get in those golf scrambles, and like right in front of us would be Taylor Reed, Lucas Reed, and all these kids from the football team who were hitting the ball 400 yards from the tee.
No fear.
None whatsoever.
You do know I retired from golf.
Did you really?
I did. I retired.
After you swung that big bus radiator as a putter?
Yeah, well, it was the putter that retired me from, we were doing when I was at the boys club, we got an invitation to the Pro-Am Shamble.
I love a shamble.
At the college. I hated it. But we had one college kid, because it was the college tournament was played starting the next day. So they force them, and then you got
you got a college
kid. So he played out of 18 holes. We played his ball 17 times. Yeah. We get to, we started on 16, so 15 is our last hole. We have not used one shot I have played the whole
day
until that hole. And that is, if you've ever played Mystic Creek, and that is it's a par 3, but it's got a huge undulating green.
Yes.
So he puts it on the top deck up there. And so I'm the last. I didn't hit a shot all day, so I'm the last to go. Everybody misses because they're aiming at it. And so I kind of saw where the break was. So the hole's that way. I shot that way. It took it 45 seconds to slowly go that way.
And then come back.
And it was Happy Gilmore putt.
Yeah.
And then it just slowly lobbed, came down, and fell in the hole. And I said, I retire from golf.
Yeah.
I can never beat that shot.
Yeah.
So since
that's
I can't
of
beat
course
that one.
That's of course where you can make a putt and then be chipping again.
Yeah.
Wow, that's the truth, man.
It's a great course.
It's a fabulous
but
course.
it is a brutal course.
It is a humbling course. You know, that hole, for example, I have never, all the times I've played there, I have never landed the ball on the green
with my drive. With you.
Yeah. Yeah, I have never, ever landed the green on that hole.
By the way, that was we had, now the shamble, everybody shoots, you play the best one of that, and then everybody plays their own ball throughout. So, I'd never played that before. I did not like it. Mainly because I'm a terrible golfer.
Yeah, me too.
So, we used that shot. That was our only birdie all day.
Wow.
That I saw.
I mean, I played.
We were negative. Now we parred everything.
So, speaking of Boys and Girls Club, they had a tournament at Mystic a few years ago. It was a 4-man scramble. And I had a team, and one by one, they all fell off. And so now I'm scrambling trying to find 3 other people to play. So I called Gage Parker.
Okay.
And now Gage, who went to school with Jax, awesome golfer, right? And I said, Gage, I need 2 more players. If you know of anybody, he's like, well, hang on. He calls me back for minutes later. I said, my dad's in. So Denny Parker's now in.
Yeah.
Now Denny plays at Mystic every day. Okay. And then he had some guy from Hot Springs that come and joined us. We birdied every hole except for the 3 that we eagled.
Wow.
We came in at 50, a score of 50, like 22 under. And everybody was like,
yeah, right.
Of course. But listen, unlike our tournament, no one was waiting on us for a second putt. If we were on the green, by gosh, it went in. Because they were dropping them from me to Steve from the hole. Not me.
Yeah.
I think we used my shot maybe 4 times that day.
Well, if you recall when we used to go up to Maumelle and play that, the Arkansas Broadcasters Association tournament and get pencil whipped.
Ooh. We've talked about that.
Except for the Army guys.
Now, those guys, they were legit. Those Army guys, so the Army National Guard sent a team to our tournament that year, and I was in charge of putting on that tournament for like 5 or 6 years. And Army National Guard wants a team in. Well, the Army National Guard was a client of the Broadcasters Association. They spent about $1.3 million a year with us. Sure.
You can have a team.
You can have a team. These guys showed up. They were like, well, I've never ridden in a cart before. Like, oh, okay. And let me tell you, it looked like, I mean, literally, they were done with their 18 holes in like an hour and 45 minutes. And they're up there at the front just like waiting on it, and we're just making the turn, you know? And like, oh, no, we're done.
They were, first off, they were physical specimens. They were not big guys, but they were slim, lean, muscular, and all 4 of them hit cannon shots.
Yes.
And then they could putt, they could chip. They were just the perfect team.
They were.
And I think they got pencil whipped.
No, they won. They won that year.
But there was a team close to them.
There was a team way close to them, yeah. And it was like, didn't happen. But, again, my one true horror story from that course, the Country Club of Arkansas, Maumelle, Boomer, me, Mike Poore, and Chuck Barrett, voice of the Razorbacks, are on a team. It's a par 5, and it's a huge dogleg right. But you got to hit with everything you got just to get it to the end. I mean, you could end up laying 2 and not be at the end if you don't do it right. Mike Poore, he kind of churns a little bit, and he's going to cut that corner a little, and he does. He cuts it. Well, we're still 280 out from the green. And somehow he nuts a 3-wood, and we're on the green. When I say we're on the green, like, you're the green, I'm the ball. We're on the edge, okay? But the hole is over there in a different zip code. It's 60 foot away. And the green does this 2 or 3 times before it gets to the hole. And Chuck Barrett's like, so what are we going to do now? It's like, I have no idea what we're going to do now. But we're laying 2 on a par 5, and we've got a chance to really put a score on the. And I said, all right, I'm gonna hit and at least give you a line so we can see what not to do. And I hit, and everybody's heard the story. It goes in 60 foot, drops. Chuck yells touchdown Arkansas. Really did.
I believe that too.
He did. Every hole, we're watching the group in front of us because we're waiting on them.
Mm-hmm.
We're watching them, and we watch them two-putt every single hole. Am I lying?
We're waiting on them every time.
They two-putt every hole. Now, at the end of the day, we come in, we're like 14, 15 under. Great score, by the way. No way anybody's going to touch that. These guys tell us they're 19 under. And Chuck, when we're pulling up, he said, hey, how'd y'all do? And they said, 19 under. He said, horse shit. And then looked at me when it all was said and done. He said, I enjoyed it, but I'll never play this tournament again.
Yep.
And he never has.
If they're going to cheat.
Yeah.
And they did.
Pencil wedged us, man. I mean,
no.
just
The one of the times I was there, we watched them in the fairway in front of us shoot 6 times, including the two putt.
Mm-hmm.
And then
come up with a 4.
They had a 4.
Give me a 4.
Yeah.
I had a par.
Now, the first time you and I ever played golf, we're at the Lions Club, and I'm telling you, I am a terrible golfer.
That's a constipated backswing.
I have, in my life, 5 birdies. 5. That many. I birdied the first 3 holes that day. Matter of fact, that still counts in the 5.
That's the part of the 5.
And he starts calling me a liar.
Yeah, he sandbagged us.
Yeah. And then on the 18th,
this is the greatest too.
Second shot, I'm on the ground and I hit a 3-wood and it goes
about this high off the ground.
I thought it was like that high off the ground, but it destroyed the 150 marker. It didn't. Well, when I say it destroyed
the plastic ones,
the plastic,
yeah, I was there.
It blew up.
I remember that.
So yeah, back then they would put, it was just a piece of PVC pipe at the 150 mark, and it had been raining, and it was like January. It was cold.
Yeah.
And it's frozen stiff, and he hits that thing, and I mean, it explodes
it.
Oh, by the way, sorry, Lions Club, I blew up your marker.
That's a number of years ago.
Yeah, they probably replaced it by then.
Alan Brooker was still the pro back then.
I would hope they'd replace it by then.
He's unalive now.
Yeah, he's no longer with us. But I mean, I played a lot of good golf on a lot of fun golf on the. I've never played good golf anywhere, but a lot of fun golf at the Lions Club. It's 2 different courses, the front 9 and the back 9.
Yeah.
Because the front 9 is it's link style, grip and rip, brother. Just let it go. And then the back 9 is tight.
Yeah, it's tight.
And you got to shape shots, and I don't know if y'all have ever noticed about me, but I can't do that.
Yeah. I know how. I just can't call it.
Just for the record, I birdied the first 3 holes and still did not break 100.
True story. I had taken Boomer and someone else and John Dews, and we all went to the country club one time to play, and kept real score. What you hit's what you hit, And at the end of that round, I shot a 130.
Played it down. We
played it down. I mean, I shot a 130, and that was with a birdie on number 7, by the way.
Okay.
To which John Dews says, "You don't know how this client golf works, do you?" I shot a 130, and at the end, John's like, "Man, I had a great time. Let's do it again." I said, "Really?" He's like, "Yeah." I said, "I can't imagine this being fun for you, where you're laying 1, I'm laying 3 or 4, And he's like, "You just need to play more, Sandy. That's all it is." He said, "There's some aspects to your swing you'll have to fix, but you just need to play more." So that day, I made a determination. I said, "I'm either going to quit golf or I'm going to get better." And so what I did from that day forward for like 8 months, every single day, if they would let me, I would get on the driving range at the Lions Club, and I'd buy 2 buckets of balls, and then I'd have time to still eat a sandwich before I went back to the radio station. As time goes on, I'm barely getting through 1 bucket of balls. Sometimes I'm not even finishing 1 bucket. And I said something to Alan Brooker one time. I said, "Alan, I used to go through 2 buckets, and now I got to cut myself off at 1 bucket because I'm out of time." He said, "It's because you're watching the ball longer." I was like, "What do you mean?" He said, "Well, when you first started, you'd hit, and about the time you should have been picking your head up, you were already putting it back down, because you knew that was a bad shot."
Okay.
And he said, "Now you're hitting the ball and you're watching them longer." And he said, "That's what it is."
That makes sense.
So I did that for like 8 solid months. No, it wasn't 8. Maybe it was just 6 or 7. But anyway, for a number of solid months. And then that first time I go out to play, it was Orlando Garza and we go out and play, and I shot a 103.
Nice.
And I was like, holy cow. I go out the next day, which was a Saturday, and play again. I shot a 100. And then I went out that Sunday and shot a 98. And that's the first time I'd ever broken 100. By the end of that golf season that year, by the share tournament, I was consistently shooting in the high 80s.
Oh, nice.
And then it took me about 5 or 6 years after that to ever get into the 70s.
I could hit the high 80s all the time and low 80s sometime, but never get in the 70s.
I did Jaycock Tidwell. Jim Tidwell was my witness. He and I were playing one time, and we were playing with Uncle Larry, not your dad, but Larry Post.
Okay.
And maybe Scott Walker. And Scott walks over to me and said, "What have you done?" Because he said, "I've watched you play," and he said, "I've never seen you hit this many greens in regulation or stay in this many fairways." But I'll tell you a little trick. Jim, whatever his name was, had golfing games right down here.
Yeah.
He was the pro out there. I hired him as the pro out at the Lions Club. But Jim told me, he said, "Sandy, if you'll start keeping up with a number of things, how many fairways do you hit? How many GRs? How many greens in regulations? And the biggest one is how many putts? You want to get under 35 putts per round. If you can get under 35 putts per round," and he started drawing it out. He showed me. He said, "If you only hit half of your fairways, but on every one of those fairways you're on the green in regulation, and then you're under 35 putts, you'll shoot 81 every time." And so that's what I started keeping up with. I started just keeping up with fairways, GRs, and number of putts, and it helped me define where I needed the most help. And where I needed the most help was from about 170 in
approach.
My approach shots. That's where I needed the most help. And Bart Craig was the pro at the country club at the time. Now, for those of you who remember, Bart Craig was about 7 foot tall.
Yeah, about that.
Yeah, and he said one day, I went out there one Sunday, and he said, "Hey, you got anybody playing with you?" I said, "No, by myself." He said, "You mind if I play with you?" Because the contract for the golf pro is you have to play X amount of rounds per year. And he's like, "I've got to get in some rounds before my contract." And I was like, "Okay." And he said, "I'll catch you by my number 2 or number 3. And I was like, "All right." And sure enough, by number 2, I think he was there with me. And we get to number 9. And I said, "Bart, you haven't used a driver yet." He was hitting with a 3-wood. He said, "This course isn't long enough for me to use my driver." And I said, "We were just on number 8. It's a par 5. And he said, "Yeah." He said, "Well, that's going to put me, I'm going to end up so many yards out, and I don't have that club. I don't have that shot. So I have to use a 3-wood.
He wants to hit to a spot.
Yes.
So while I'm playing checkers, he's playing chess.
Yes. So I said, "Come on, man, you're hitting from the tips. You mean to tell me, number 9, you mean to tell me this hole isn't long enough for you to use your driver?" He said, "If I put it in the pool, it's on you." Okay. He pulls his driver out, hitting from the tips, and cranks this ball. Again, 7 foot tall. Man, he's got all that leverage, you know. He drops it in the back of the sand bunker behind the green. And I'm like, "You're right. This course isn't long enough for you to use a driver."
Wow.
That's just, guys like that, how do you do that, you know? But that's how he does, because he hits to a spot.
Yeah.
He knows, hey, I'm deadly from 80 yards in. And so he'll hit it to 80 yards in.
And that's what happens on scramble sometimes. You get a ringer in there, and he's hitting the ball, and you're at a spot where you're not used to hitting from, and you can't.
If you put me at 165 out, I'm in trouble.
Yeah.
I don't have a 165.
Well, first off, y'all are better golfers than I am. So I see parts of the course y'all have never seen before.
So I used to always tell Chris Ely, I said, "You're not getting your money's worth, buddy. Out here hitting the middle of the fairway, you scratching balls up on the sprinkler heads."
Yeah, y'all don't know about half of where this course is. I know. I've been to all the crooks and corners. I know
where
half
all the
the animals
are. All right, we're going to take a break, and when we come back, we will have more of Off the Back Porch coming up right after this.
For longer than most of us can remember, Timber Lane Meat Market has been a staple of our community, where quality meats and friendly faces come standard. From everyday dinners to weekend cookouts, make it fresh, make it local, make it Timber Lane. Be sure to check out the daily lunch specials and like us on Facebook. Timber Lane Meat Market, 1336 West Hillsboro in El Dorado. Proud to be part of South Arkansas, and even more proud to be displayed on your table.
Experience, courage, common sense, All of these are traits we want in any elected position, but especially in the man we will pick as our next sheriff. Michael Fife hasn't just been in law enforcement for 30 plus years. He's the one who answers the call in the middle of the night, putting himself last and Union County first, looking folks in the eye, doing what's right, standing up for all of us. Vote for Michael Fife for Union County Sheriff.
Country Village Sporting Goods has a little bit of everything you need to get you to the water, the woods, or to the camp. Coming soon, a new shipment of creek boats. Every year we sell out fast. Get yours ordered today. It seems like we're always unboxing the latest and greatest in lures and tackle. Come check out new colors, new styles, and the latest technology making rods lighter and reels easier to cast. Cruise through our vast selection of camo clothing, coveralls, overalls, boots, outerwear, and more. All at Country Village Sporting Goods, 965 Smackover Highway in El Dorado.
Everybody loves a parade, and hilarious pizza throws parades all the week long. Bring the family in for your favorites, or explore the variety that Larry's Pizza offers. Come join us at Larry's Pizza for the greatest parade ever.
Hey, welcome back for more of Off the Back Porch with Sandy and Boomer. And we're here, Boomer, this week, a little different atmosphere. We had told Steve, our guest, we've been telling him for months now.
Yeah.
Whenever you can get to town, it doesn't have to be on the day we normally do the podcast.
Yeah.
We will come to you. Well, he got in town really late tonight.
Yeah.
And so there wasn't a whole lot of options of places we could record.
Inside.
Yeah. Because it's pouring rain outside.
Yeah.
And so we are here at Marilyn's.
Okay.
And thanks to Melissa for allowing us to come in here at Marilyn's. I feel like Steve would be most at home here.
I've been here many times. Under several different owners.
So, Steve, one of the things that Boomer and I do every week is Florida Man.
Oh, I look forward to this.
Yeah, so, and for those who don't know, Florida Man is just simply this. Go to Google and type in any date, just the month and the day, not the year, just the month and the day, and go to Google and type in just any date, and then type Florida Man at the end of it. So you can go in and put May 12th, Florida Man, and you will get a story within the first 3 or 4 Google responses that will be one of the craziest things you've ever heard. And it could be Florida man dies, Florida man arrested, Florida man flees court. You know, we had the guy who jumped out of the 3rd floor of a Florida courtroom. So just anything. That's what we call Florida man.
Okay.
This one, however, because I put in today's date.
Okay.
I'm thinking I'm going to get one from years ago. This was today's story. This story came out this morning. Tailgating prior to a Florida Gators baseball game turned into a full-blown brawl between tailgating families who were set up next to one another. Thursday's pregame ritual at Condren Family Ballpark in Gainesville, Florida was anything but normal. 48-year-old Dale Grizzly Grissom of Trenton, Florida, was taking ribs off the smoker while his wife, Darlene, was putting potato salad, beans, and coleslaw on plates. She hollered for her 2 children to come eat when their neighboring tailgater, 52-year-old Ricky Baby Lassiter of Hastings, Florida, commented on how good everything looked. At first, I thought he was talking about my wife, and it was about to go down, Grizzly said. But then I realized he was talking about...
That's my wife.
He was talking about the food. Grizzly said his wife invited Mr. Lassiter and his family to participate in their tailgate. Baby Lassiter, his wife Candy, and his twin 16-year-old sons all politely declined. Allegedly, Lassiter said, "We don't do cookout food before a game. It just sits too heavy. That's why we only cook a little tailgate food. So we can snack and then we'll eat something inside the ballpark." Confused, Grizzly said his food was also tailgate food, but whatever. One of Lassiter's 16-year-old sons scoffed and said to his brother, he don't know the difference between cookout food and tailgate food. At this scoff, Grizzly's 18-year-old daughter and current reigning Miss Okra Festival queen,
Okra Festival. Steve did a spit take.
Annabelle Grissom told the boy to wipe that smirk off his face. The boy then allegedly told her to worry about her ponytail hanging straight out of the back of her Gators ball cap before she got herself into a situation she wasn't equipped for. Ooh. According to witnesses, what transpired next was as hard to believe as it was accurately to describe. Miss Okra Festival Queen took her hat off, rolled her ponytail into a bun, and then cross-kicked the 16-year-old in his left jaw, rendering him unconscious before he even hit the ground. When his twin jumped up to defend his now comatose brother, the Okra Queen's 13-year-old brother leveled him with a clothesline. Instead of attempting to mediate a ceasefire to the melee, Darlene Grissom says, "That's right, baby. Don't you let no boy talk shit to your sister." At that, Candy Lassiter jumps into the mix and grabs Darlene by the hair. This is Mr. Grissom talking now, quote, "That feller looked at me and asked if I was going to do anything about all this. I said, yeah, I'm going to get another beer. Want one, or will that sit too heavy on you too?" Grizzly Grissom said. Mr. Lassiter attempted to break up the fight between his wife Candy and Darlene Grissom. Candy inadvertently kicks her own husband in the groin, sending him to the ground immediately. A third group of tailgaters who witnessed the entire event called police, and within a few minutes, authorities showed up and started taking statements. When all was said and done, police issued a citation to 18-year-old Okra Queen Anna Bell for simple battery for her kick to the 16-year-old, and attempted to cite Candy Lassiter for the same. However, she refused to take the citation and threw it at a female sergeant on scene. When directed to pick it up, she told officers she would wipe her butt with it and smear it in her face. She then picks up the citation, runs it down the back of her elastic band shorts, and shoves it in the direction of the female sergeant. This is a quote. "Dude, all of a sudden, the kind of hot mom run her hands down the back of her shorts and came at that lady cop. All I heard was taser, 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 and hot mom was down."
Hot mom down.
You hear me? They put her in a patrol car while the dad was picking his two boys up off the ground and loading up the truck. Kyle Manning, a member of the witnessing tailgate crew who called police originally, said. After the incident, police reported that Grizzly Grissom said, "I don't know what the hell anyone expected. Them folks are from East Florida. Hell, they write stories about them online daily. Them East Florida folks ain't right." Supposedly, Grissom, along with his wife Darlene, their cited 18-year-old Okra Queen daughter and 13-year-old son, all went to the ballpark for the game. And while Florida did lose by a score of 4-2 against Ole Miss, we have a feeling the Grissom family felt like winners.
Wow.
All of that in one incident in Florida.
Right before the game.
Yeah.
Ms. Okrafest.
Miss Okra Festival Queen, yes.
Okay, I can't say too much. I have judged the Ms. Watermelon pageant.
Yes.
Which is, informable. Yeah, I've judged that one.
Can I give you a caveat to that?
Sure.
My ex-wife won the Miss Watermelon pageant.
Did she really?
My ex-girlfriend won Miss Teen Watermelon.
Yeah. If you're in radio, you end up judging those
all
a lot.
Stuff.
Yeah, all those.
Oh no! It was not because I was in radio.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, you weren't in there.
I was dating a girl, the one that won Miss Junior Watermelon, and her mama dragged me to Monroe, and I had to sit through 8 hours of pageant crap
from the little bitty ones all the way up.
Yeah, just random pageant stuff. 8 hours.
Yeah.
We got a meal, a cup of cream of mushroom soup. I was going. But where's the meal? Oh, that was it. I said, y'all were taking me to Burger King after we got it through.
Yeah, we got to have some sustenance.
Oh, yeah, and so about a month and a half later, I get a call from the Ms. Tall Timber pageant in Spring Hill. And I said,
"What do y'all feed me?"
They said, "Hey, would you like to come judge our pageant?" I go, first thing out of my mind, how'd you get my number?
Yeah.
You're on the approved judges list for Miss Louisiana. I said, I am what?
How did I
At
get
the end of that day, there was a big yellow notepad that you had to put your name, telephone number, and address on. And I did, and that apparently was the approved judges list.
Wow.
And so I did that for like 3 years. I was a pageant judge in
I was too.
Upper Louisiana. But yeah.
I did one of those where it's kids all the way up to teenagers, Mom.
Yeah.
Now,
and so soon it was over, the director says, come on, I got to get you out of here. She says, I said, why? She goes, oh, these
you don't know pageant moms.
So these mothers will attack you.
What do you mean my baby won Miss Personality?
So, when I was doing morning show and doing what show prep I did.
Which was very little.
Yeah, so we got this thing. They've sent us stories, all that. Well, there was a Florida story on it. Wasn't technically Florida man, but I could never figure out a way to get it on the radio without getting the radio station shut down.
Yeah.
So I'll say it today.
Okay.
So there was these two Russian guys on vacation in Tampa, Florida, and they're reading a pamphlet called Stupid American Laws. Well, in the state of Florida, there is a law on the books that says it is illegal to have relations with a porcupine.
Yeah. Good law.
Which eventually, first thought in my head was, when did this become a problem?
Why was it a thing? Yeah. Why did we have to make a law about it?
And it became such a problem that the legislature discussed it, voted on it, sent it to the governor for a signature, and he signed this law to make it illegal for relations with a porcupine. So these two Russian guys are thinking, there must be something to this.
Yeah. If they don't want you to do it.
So a couple hours later, apparently, according to the story, they found a porcupine.
Yes.
And an hour later,
An
both
emergency
of them
room.
were admitted to the emergency room. Now, let me repeat that last part. Both of them were sent to the emergency room.
And who's the most stupid, the first guy or the second guy?
So at some point, one of the guys had to look at the other guy who's having relations with the porcupine and saying, "You're not doing that right."
Because you got stuck. Oh my Lord! That's horrible.
Matter of fact, I did when I moved to New Orleans. I got more opportunities. I know it's hard to imagine, but my favorite little bar had karaoke on Sunday nights and a comedy on Tuesday nights and open mic night on Thursday night. Well, my 50th birthday came and it was Sunday, karaoke night. Well, I did karaoke night every week. But that week I decided, since it's my 50th birthday, I want to try something new. I want to do all 3 nights. So I did karaoke on Sunday, and then that was my big joke on Tuesday night was
that you did.
I did 4 minutes with the Florida guys and a couple of other little things, but that was my. And then Thursday night I did an original song I'd written with Charlie Hankins a few years back.
Charlie Hankins, who is the reigning champion of the Casey Wright lookalike contest.
Oh, no doubt.
Rest in peace, Casey
Matter of
Wright.
fact, the only time we were recording the morning show and had to stop the recording and come get you to approve of a bit we had done was with Charlie Hankins. Charlie came in and he was going, you know what they say about a guy with a big guitar? He's got a really big pick. I said, and we both laughed, and then we go, let's go see if we can actually say that.
Yeah. Let's see if that's acceptable.
So Steve and I did the not raise hogs bit at my church one year.
Yeah.
I called Steve. We were having a fundraiser at the church, and I stood there with boots on, and Steve did the whole thing. I just went,
which was funny. It was Mike Means and Charlie Hankins did it for a fundraiser for hospice.
I saw them do that.
And that was absolutely one of the funniest bits, the not raise hogs.
Yeah.
Now, what was real funnier when we were doing it at the municipal auditorium, the first night, the night before we did the show, they brought in a live pig. That pig peed on the first 3 rows.
Over everything.
It was. Now that was really funny. Couldn't do that. But yeah, the pig didn't make the real show.
You and I did a review something at the auditorium one time, and there were skits and all kind of stuff. What was that for?
That was it. That was the hospice. We did that one. I sang. They did it 2 years for raising money for hospice, and the second year the theme was music or movies.
Because Christy Ely and all that age group, they all danced.
Yeah.
They all had a line dance of
Chris Nail did the little crustacean from Little Mermaid.
Oh yeah,
with the little seashell bra and all that. I've still got pictures somewhere of that.
Chris is crazy.
Yeah, he is, and he had no shame. And he had no shame. He was up there and he enjoyed it. It was great. But
I always enjoyed just change the subject here. you and I refereed football together.
Yes.
I always enjoyed when Chris was the white hat.
Oh, yeah,
he was a great white hat.
He really, and it was so not his personality.
Right.
Would show up out there. He was authoritative. He was knowledgeable. He was professional. Mm-hmm. And then you get him off the field, and
he was an ass clown.
Yeah.
Now, I'll say this. Alan Gober, whom I worked with a lot, was probably the worst white hat in that Alan talked a big game, but he let them coaches talk to him in ways
Oh, yeah.
I'm just not built that way. You can't talk to me like that. We had a game we were doing. El Dorado was playing Texarkana, and it was a mercy rule game. I mean, it was by far El Dorado was going to win this game. Mm-hmm. And El Dorado, the coach yells from the sideline, just take a knee. He yells it from the sideline to the quarterback. So Allen looks at the defense and says, hey, guys, he's going to take a knee, so don't hit him. That coach from Texarkana come flying off that sideline and went to chewing Allen out. And I'm like, Allen, flag him. You can't let him talk to you like this. The problem is if you let a coach get away with that, then you got that the rest of the day.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah. And so as soon as that game was over, this coach is following us to the dressing room, and he's like on our backside. I want your AAA number. And I turned around, find out, like, you want my AAA number? That's fine. I'll give it to you. I said, but look right up there. There's a camera. And that camera is going to show you've been acting an ass this entire game. And how you didn't get thrown out, I'll never know. But if you want my AAA number, it's 2634. And I never heard anything from the AAA on that one.
No.
You know, but, man, those guys. But and the thing is if Allen was like, if he was the back judge or side judge,
perfect.
Man, he'd flag a coach in a minute. But as the white hat, he would just take those butt chewings, and I'm like, I don't know how you do it, Allen.
Oh no, we were doing a preseason game in Parker's Chapel, and one of the kids thought he'd gotten horse collar. He hadn't, but he thought he had. And so he comes up, jumps in my face, and just proceeds to cuss me. Well, I was a baseball umpire for 29 years. You don't get any warnings for cuss words at all. Mm-hmm. So I threw that flag as high in the air as I possibly could. And he got 15 for unsportsmanlike. Now, what I learned, because this was one of my first games as officiating in junior high, was that's normal for them to cuss at officials.
In football?
In football. Mm-hmm. In baseball, you got one. Mm-hmm. And then you're going.
Yeah.
And that's coaches, everybody. And if I catch a fan cussing at me, he's gone.
Mm-hmm.
Or more than likely, she's gone.
Most time, yeah.
Alan's talking about, and I've told this to Sandy, and I don't know if you've ever heard it, but Alan's calling a game with another crew, and it's between Pine Bluff and Catholic, Little Rock Catholic.
Mm-hmm.
So Pine Bluff just smears his kid, and the Catholic kid says, "Get off of me, MF." And he goes, the Pine Bluff kid goes, I thought yours was a church school.
Steve and I were over in Parker's Chapel. We did a lot of Parker's Chapel games.
We did.
And when Coach King was there. And so there was a game. It was Parker's Chapel versus Genoa Central. And I'm umpire, so I stand in the middle of the defense.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I'm watching the offensive line. And this linebacker from Peace Eagles running the end, and I see him get knocked to the ground. He jumps up and runs over and says, "Are you ever going to throw a flag for holding?" And I said, I knew the young man's name, and I called him by his name. I said, if I see Holden, I'll throw a flag for Holden, but I hadn't seen Holden.
You just get knocked
All
down.
I've been seeing is this 300-pound kid from Genoa just blowing him up, but I didn't say that. So on this next play, I paid a special attention, and he goes rushing in on a blitz, and again, this kid just knocks him over on his backside, and he jumps up and says, "Are you ever going to throw an effing flag?" I said, matter of fact, I mean, it looked like a bottle rocket. I threw that thing so high. Mm-hmm. And I gave him an unsportsmanlike and an ejection. Here comes Coach King. Out to the field. What did you do? Use magic words, Coach. And I told him what happened. And he said, man, it's the third quarter. If you throw him out of this game, I can't have him next week against Junction. I got to have him against Junction.
Should have thought that.
And I said, I tell you what, I'll remove the ejection. I said, but I want to see his shoulder pads off, and I don't want to see him on this field again. He's like, you got it. So we get done, and PC fed us really well. They always fed us real well.
PC was good.
And so
even in baseball too.
They bring us our food after the game. We eat our food while we're changing back into our street clothes. We come walking out, and I hear, "Mr. Referee, sir," and I'm like, I turned around, and there's this boy and his mama. "You mind telling me why my son got thrown out of that game?" And I was like, "Yes, ma'am, I'll be happy to tell you." And I told her exactly what happened. And she said, "He said that?" "Yes, ma'am." Thank you.
All right.
She snatched him around that ear, and off the field they went, brother. And I don't know what happened to him, but it wasn't good. That wasn't good.
That problem was solved.
Yeah. I had one of those when I was a police officer. We had gotten a call one time that there was this apartment, Section 8 apartments in the little town. There was a guy supposedly wearing red shoes, red pants, red shirt, and red ball cap, and was selling drugs under the stairwell of this apartment. So we pull up. Well, there's a guy in red shoes, red pants, red shirt, red cap, and he sees us and takes off. I'm not chasing you. First of all, I know who you are. I'm not going to chase you. My partner does. He chases him. I get in the car. I drive down there and pick my partner up because this guy left him in the dust, right? The next day, I went to the Dairy Queen where this boy's mama worked, and I said, 4 o'clock today, I come on duty. Can you bring your son down there? We have a little something we need to discuss. She said, "Yes, sir." And at 4 o'clock, I walk in, and there they are. They're sitting right there in the squad room. And she said, "Now, do you want to tell me what's going on?" I said, "Yes, ma'am." I said, "You got to call the Seasons Apartments, blah, 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 blah." And she was like, "Him? He was at the Seasons Apartments?" "Yes, ma'am." She said, "I want you to get a really good look at him. And I want you to tell me, is this the young man you saw at the Seasons Apartments?" I said, "Yes, ma'am." She jumps up and slaps the snot out of this kid. "What I told you about being in them Seasons Apartments? Mom, it wasn't me." She grabbed him by both ears and swung his head around to me, and she said, "You look this policeman in the face and tell him he's a lie. I dare you." "Now, was you at them Seasons Apartments?" Yes, ma'am." She said, "What do I need to do to take his little black ass home?" That's what she said. "What do I need to do?" I said,
"Just take him home."
Just take him home. Mm-hmm. Because I promise you, there was nothing we were going to do that was going to be as bad as what she was going to do.
Yeah, that's what mamas are.
Yeah, that problem was solved.
Yeah.
And that's what you're missing today.
Yeah.
Yep.
You know, "Oh, not my baby." No, not my baby. That's what you're missing today.
Don't touch me.
No.
Don't touch me.
Oh, gosh.
When I was growing up, I'm assuming it's when we were growing up. If I got a paddling, by the way, there was a time school could paddle you.
Yes. Yeah.
If I got a paddling at school, I was getting another one at home. And then we would discuss what I did wrong.
Yeah.
Yeah, there was, exactly.
I've had that happen.
Now tell me what happened.
Was automatic. Now we'll discuss everything else.
What you did.
Yeah, and if you can defend it, which wasn't going to happen, but still, you got to just explain it after your first whooping at home.
Because I'm hollering, "Let me tell you, Daddy, let me tell you about it." And he's slapping me with that belt saying, tell me about it.
Yeah. Tell me all about it. I can't wait to hear.
Whipping my butt.
So, for those who don't know, Steve currently resides in New Orleans.
Yes.
And works, he's a tour operator.
I'm a tour guide. And a chauffeur, depending on what the jobs are that day. It changes literally every day.
Yeah.
But New Orleans is, first off, I moved down there and fell in love with the place.
Yeah, it's a great place.
The history, which is why I became a tour guide. I love the history, the architecture, the people. Oh, and you can't forget the food.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I may be the only person in history that moved to New Orleans and lost 60 pounds.
Yeah.
But there's also a lot of good things to walk around and see. And so you can get good exercise if you do it. If you sit around all the time, like I did when I was here. And I'm also type 2 diabetic now. But y'all remember how many Coca-Colas I was drinking there. So it wasn't a big surprise when I found out I was diabetic. So, but we're working on that. So it's getting better. But this next month in New Orleans, I'm super excited. We've got 2 huge music festivals and a PGA golf tournament.
Yeah,
the Zurich Classic.
The Zurich,
is coming up mid-month. We've got French Quarter Fest, which is I think like the 17th, which is a free festival. Now the problem is finding a parking spot within 2 miles of the French Quarter,
right?
Because it's a free festival. You can walk around. The food vendors are always great. And then the week after that starts Jazz Fest,
which, of course, for New Orleans, that's the festival.
That's the festival. Well,
outside of Mardi Gras,
Mardi Gras is a whole different creature.
Entity,
But festival-wise, it's Jazz Fest. We don't have Voodoo Fest anymore.
Yeah.
But Jazz Fest this year is starring the Eagles, Stevie Nicks, Rod Stewart, all the great New Orleans artists, Big Frida, a lot of those.
Chief Monk Boudreaux.
Yeah, he's there.
Yeah. So I was former coworker of ours, Chase, was living in Slidell and was getting ready to move to come to work for me again, and needed help moving. So I go down there. I drive down to Slidell, help him load up a U-Haul, and then that night we go into New Orleans down to the French Quarter to go eat and all. Well, at that time Mike Anderson's had a restaurant in the French Quarter, which they no longer do. But
no, they got one in Baton Rouge.
Yeah, of course, the original there in Baton Rouge. And for those who don't know, Mike Anderson was a All-American football player for LSU.
Not the former Razorback coach.
Right.
Took me a while to learn that one.
And we had went in and put our name on the list at Mike Anderson's. They said it's going to be an hour and 45 minutes. I said that's fine. We walked across the street to this bar, and we walked in. It was still early enough. There was a group setting up to play, and I'm watching them set up. And they have a Chinese guy who's the lead guitarist, and they're supposed to be a blues band. And I thought, can't no Chinese guy play blues? Come on, man. And I was wrong, incidentally. When they started, this kid, and he was a kid, was just shredding on that guitar. All of a sudden, the old black gentleman who was the lead singer for this blues band looks out there and said, and I may get the names wrong, but if my eyes don't deceive me, I believe we are graced with the presence of Lead Belly Jenkins. Lead Belly, could you come up here and give the folks a little something? It took him half an hour to get from the back. He was 100 years old, shuffling. And I thought, this guy had to stop and get oxygen on the way up to the stage. He's not going to be able to sing. I was wrong again. He evidently was saving that energy. Man, he got on that microphone, and all of a sudden, he was 30 years old again, brother. And I mean, just belted out some blues. And they come in over there and say, hey, your table's ready. I was like, hold on. Let's let Billy Jenkins. I had no idea who it was. We left there. We went to Tipitina's. And Chief Monk Boudreaux was there. And if you've never seen a real Mardi Gras chief and them do that full regalia with the Native American dress, and it is a sight to behold. We left there and went to the House of Blues, and man, it was just so much great entertainment available all the time.
That's all the time.
And you don't have to go into a bar. You can just stop on a street corner and watch a kid tap dance with Coke bottle tops on his shoes, you know.
By the way, if you ever want to see what Tipitina's looks like on the inside, there's a movie. It's a terrible movie, but it's got one good scene in it. The Blues Brothers 2000 is a terrible movie. Bad remake of Blues Brothers or sequel. But there's a scene in it where they have a battle, the Blues Brothers against the Louisiana Gator Boys. Lead singer B.B. King, Eric Clapton, sound guys,
John Lee Hooker,
Dr. John, Travis Tritt is in this band. It's the greatest collection of musical talent ever put on stage, and they filmed it at Tipitina's. That's the stage they used.
Oh,
yeah.
But yeah, that's,
I'm gonna have to go and find that.
Look it up on YouTube. Don't watch the whole movie.
Yeah,
it'll disappoint you on so many levels. But yeah, that whole scene was just phenomenal.
Tipitina's a great club. I mean, again, you know, it's like anywhere else. You know, you mind your P's and Q's like anything. I took the kids when Jax was about 12, Cam was about 10 or 11, and I took them down. I told them I'd take you to the French Quarter during the daytime.
Yeah.
And so we get right there at the corner, and I said, all right, guys, listen. This is Bourbon Street. It's daylight. Chances are there's not going to be any issues. But there's a couple of rules I need y'all to understand. Number one rule, stay in front of me at all times. If you ever see the back of me, you're in the wrong spot. Stay in front of me at all times so I can keep an eye on you. And rule number two, I don't care what she looks like, there's a 50-50 chance it's not a girl.
Yeah.
So we're walking along there. We've been on Bourbon Street about a half hour or so. And we walk past this little strip club, and there's an old girl who's got her butt stuck out the door, and she's twerking, man. I mean, she's working it, right? And there's a barker standing there. Jax is 12. He's at the age, things are happening internally. And he walks by and he sees it. And he's watching her, as he walks by. Next thing you see is Cam, bam, in the back of his head said, "Not a girl."
Not a girl.
How Cam knew, I don't know, but that's just what happened.
So we were down there in New Orleans, and I was still living up here at the time. It was my father-in-law's 70th birthday, and he got the thought that 70 is the new 50. So we had a 50s party.
Get ready, Boomer.
Charlie and I snuck down and did a Blues Brothers set for his birthday party. Didn't tell him we were coming, but we're there. Well, we'd gone, at the time Tori was in college. She was working at Brennan's as a hostess. And so we ate there. I've eaten at Brennan's once. I took one look at the menu, told the family, pick whatever you want. This will be the only time we come here. And it was, I paid $400 for breakfast. And did not complain. It was that good.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, most of that was Charlie and I having eye openers.
Mimosas.
No, we had something called a Mr. Funk, which is a mimosa on steroids.
Okay.
So yeah, it was. I felt good after we left. But we're walking down Bourbon. The girls are on Royal shopping, window shopping, because you can't buy anything on Royal without mortgaging our house. So, but me and Charlie and Robert, who's 16 years old at the time, are walking down Bourbon. One of the barkers at one of the bars says, "Hey, it's 3 for 1. 3 for 1, come in." And so we try to talk to letting Robert in, and we told him he's
a young 18.
He's a young 18, except he was 21 at that point.
Yeah.
He wasn't 20, he was 16, so, but they wouldn't let him in. So me and Charlie go in, because it's 3 for 1.
Great dad in there, by the way.
It was,
Leave the kid alone by himself on Bourbon Street.
Okay, so we drink. It's 3 for 1, so we get 6. We each drink 3. And so we're in there 30, 40 minutes. And then the guilt hits me. So I said, all right, let's wrap it up and go on. We go out. And Robert goes, y'all go back in. So immediately I know something's up.
Yeah.
So what had happened was the barker, instead of trying to get people in the bar, he's trying to get these young girls going down Bourbon to give Robert a kiss. So Robert doesn't want to go. He's happy right where he's at, and he's going, no. I'm not getting beaten up by your mom. So
Lord.
Yeah.
It was. By the way, it was about a year and a half before I actually told Kathy that story.
Yeah, that would be something.
Fortunately for you, so that same trip, I took them to Bourbon Street. We were staying in Pass Christian, Mississippi. And Jax and I go to play golf one day at the Oaks there in Pass Christian. Beautiful course. And we're playing along, and the beer winch, as John Dews calls them, the beer winch pulls up in her cart, and they're all Hooters girls. This is what they do when they're not working at Hooters.
Right.
They're the beer winches at the golf course. And Jack says, "Dad, you got to get me a picture with her." I was like, "Okay." So we order a couple, whatever we're going to get to drink, and maybe a sandwich or a candy bar or whatever. And I said, "Hey, I realize that you probably get this all the time out here, but my son really wants to take a picture with you." And she said, "Absolutely." Off pops that jacket. And of course, them sweater monkeys are now chirping, right? Mm-hmm. And she's in the Hooters outfit, and boy, Jack snuggles right up to her, like I said, 12 years old. I snap a picture. "You got to send it to me, Dad." So I send it to him. This little fool posts it to Facebook. So we're like 2 holes later, and his mom calls me and says, "You want to explain to me why my son is snuggled up next to a Hooters girl?"
No.
When y'all were going to play golf? I said, "Absolutely not. Have no clue."
Yeah, he must have snuck off somewhere.
That's where he was. That's where he went.
Wait till I get a hold of him.
Yeah. As soon as I catch up with him, "What do you mean you don't have my baby?" No, I went to the restroom, and I'm on my way. I'm driving back. You can hear the wind from the golf cart. That's me driving back.
Yeah. The sun was in my eyes.
Yeah. See, what had happened was I had the glaucomas, and it was Yeah.
Like Ms. Mercille would say.
Yeah. So I was telling you about the 10-year-old. I was telling her about Miss Mercille, and she was like, "That sounds hilarious." I said, "You want to know the very, very best one we've ever done?" And she was like, yeah. I said, so you have a cousin named Brian Williams. And I said, he's your cousin on your mom's side. Whoever would have known that I'd be married into Brian Williams' family, right? But I said, he's your cousin on your mom's side. And I said, he and his wife are missionaries, and they went to Thailand. And I said, while they were in Thailand, some monkeys broke into their house and stole all their food. And I said, we found out about it. And so Miss Mercille calls us and tells us that her church is doing a fundraiser for this missionary. Well, where's he a missionary? In Thailand. Where in Thailand? Oh, I can't say. Why can't you say, Miss Mercille? Well, because it's a bad word. What do you mean? I'll spell it. Okay, spell it for us. P-H-U-K-E-T-T. And Boomer says, Phuket? And she said, oh, that's how you say it? Because, Lord, I couldn't even make myself pray for him. I couldn't say, Lord, now bless that missionary over there in that bad part of the Thailand. And so I'm telling her, she is guffawing. She's rolling around in the seat. The only reason she doesn't fall out of the seat because the seatbelt has her, right? And then I tell her that they were raising money to get him monkey bars. And she stops and she's like,
monkey bars.
What? And I was like, right, monkey bars. And she's like, I don't understand. I said, neither did we, till Miss Mercer explained it. And so I'm telling her, that, well, baby, if you have if you got a burglar breaking your house, what do you put on your windows? Burglar bars. That's right. But he ain't got a problem burglar. He got a problem monkeys. We're going to get some monkey bars. If y'all pay attention when I told you to begin with,
you notice.
And she was
keep up with me, baby. Come on.
So then the 10-year-old looks at me and she says, I have got to meet her. And I was like, she's not a real person.
You're talking to her now.
That's right. You have met her. Hey, Boomer's got somewhere he's got to be. Let's take a break. We'll let him do that, and then we'll come back and be me and you, okay?
That'll work.
All right, we're going to take a break. We'll be back with more of Off the Back Porch right after this.
The brand new deli is open at Davis Farms Country Market, featuring Boar's Head cheese and meats. Try the Turkey Bacon Ranch, the London Broil Roast Beef, the Club Sandwich, or a fresh and crispy BLT. Check out their cranberry and pecan chicken salad, not to mention fresh hot gumbo, the soup of the day, and more. Davis Farms Country Market, 4523 Junction City Highway, or call 870-639-1323.
Anyone can be so curious. Get ready to see the world more curiously, because Blippi is coming to your hometown. The Be Like Blippi Tour. Join Blippi and Mika live on stage for a one-of-a-kind interactive adventure that inspires kids to move like, play like, and explore just like Blippi. Saturday, April 11th, the First Financial Music Hall in El Dorado. Tickets are on sale now at eldomad.com. Break out your orange Blippi glasses for an unforgettable experience that encourages kids to be like Blippi.
Serving South Arkansas for 25 years, and all the while expanding and growing throughout the state, ProMed Ambulance is proving their motto of world-class care and hometown values. For example, their new mobile integrated healthcare communication center. This state-of-the-art facility allows communication specialists to work directly with local 911 call centers to ensure the closest medical team is always dispatched to any emergency. World-class care and hometown values. For more information and career opportunities, go to ProMedAmbulance.com.
With a name you trust, you can count on us. Glen Mechanical, plumbing, heating, and air.
For over 6 decades, Glen Mechanical has been specializing in HVAC, plumbing, and all mechanical jobs. 3 generations family-owned and operated since 1956. Glen Mechanical's business is based on relationships. They support and give back to the communities they work in. Contact them for all of your HVAC, plumbing, and mechanical needs. GlenMechanical.com.
When it comes to protecting your home or business, trust the name that's been serving South Arkansas for 3 generations, Cross Roofing and Sheet Metal. From residential roofs to large commercial projects, the experienced team at Cross delivers quality you can see and reliability you can count on. Cross Roofing and Sheet Metal, built on trust, proven by results. Call Cross Roofing today. Put a solid future over your head.
Hey, welcome back for more of Off the Back Porch with Sandy and Boomer. Sans the Boomer.
Same child that we taught the bad punchline to. He's in the back seat of his car. Their family's going through McDonald's drive-thru. He's in his child seat in the back, and he's a cute little redheaded child. And he leans forward and says, "Hey," to the little girl in the drive-thru. And she goes, "Hey, cutie." She goes back in the drive-thru window, and he leans back and goes, "Yeah, she wants me."
Classic male.
At which point the mama goes, "Who taught him that?"
Steve.
Yeah, no, I didn't have anything to do with it at that one.
Yeah, but we still blame everything on you.
I know, yeah. I got
You've been blamed for a whole bunch of stuff in my house.
I got blamed for breaking my wife's shoulder from 4 states away. And I had proof. We were on this road for Music Fest when I got the call and said she'd broke her shoulder. She was playing soccer with her sister, fell down, broke her shoulder. I said it on the air at that time. Listen, this is Saturday night. Monday, I'm going to get blamed for this. Sure enough, I got blamed for it Monday. Didn't touch it.
Well, we were right there across the street when Fru, Boomer's wife, fell down holding that gravy boat, and it cut her hand open. He had to take her to get stitches in the middle of the night. And from that point forward, we always talk about how Boomer pushed his wife down.
Oh, yeah. I remember that. Years he got blamed for pushing his wife down.
Yeah. Sergeant Cal would talk about Boomer pushing his wife down.
Yeah. Sergeant Cal. I was trying to remember that character.
God, that's one we could never do again.
Yeah, Sergeant Cal.
Sergeant Cal McCracken.
And his monkeys.
Yeah, JJ.
And that's why we got canceled for that character. Because of his catchphrase with the monkeys.
Yes.
I remember that one very well. And
so the catchphrase was Sergeant Cal would be on the air with us, and he would say, "I leave the radio on at the house so that I can talk to the monkeys while I'm here." And he said, "So I'm fixed to talk to the monkeys. Y'all get out of that refrigerator, stand that cake." He said, "Because when I go home, I will spank a monkey." And we knew what the connotation was.
Yeah.
Well, it was all good and fine until one of our advertisers called us and said, "Hey, I got my 12-year-old son here in the truck. I've got you on speaker. Why don't you explain to him what spanking a monkey is?"
And Sergeant Major Cal McCracken died, unfortunately, right there. And Cousin Cletus, who you used at a different station back in the past.
Cousin Cletus became a thing, yeah.
And I don't know if I told you the story or if Dad told you the story about burning down the church camp.
So I've been waiting this entire podcast to talk about this. I have been waiting for months to bring this up. So last summer, my lovely wife and I and the kids, we went to Hot Springs to meet my wife's mom and her aunt and some cousins. And we're all going to go to Magic Springs. So we're going towards Malvern, and just out of nowhere, it hits me. I said, right through here somewhere, there used to be a church camp. And she said, "Used to be a church camp?" I said, "Yeah, Steve Harrell and his brother, they burned it down. Steve and Bill, they burned it down." And she's like, "Do what?" I said, "I don't remember the exact story, but there was something about a deer, and then Steve and his brother burnt down the church camp. Pretty sure."
Which is not anywhere close.
We passed by it, and I said, "That's where it was, right there. That's where they burnt down the church camp."
Okay, so we didn't. I was 10, Bill was 8. We were a church. We have a small church, but we were affiliated with Maryville Hill Chapel, which is a great little church. But it was their camp. I went to Hickory Grove Chapel, which is a very small church, still there. And so we were going up to use their church camp. Well, it was Friday night. It was late. It was raining. Dad hit a deer on the way. And we're country folk. We don't let that go to waste.
Right.
It came into the van with us. So we get to the church camp. We dry off a little bit, and they get this big hall.
Lodge.
Lodge right there. So we're in there. Create a fire. It's warming us up. We got the deer in there.
It's in a fireplace.
It's in a fireplace.
Yeah.
And then apparently, and we found this out later when the insurance came through, that the building had been so old that the fireplace had gotten so much silt in it that the fireplace caught it on fire. Could not have been fixed. They paid the full thing. There was no problems. They got a brand new hall. But we didn't get our weekend. They had pools and hiking trails and stuff. And not only did it burn up the deer, it burned up my Hot Wheels collection.
Yeah.
I still haven't forgiven about the Hot Wheels, but it was. So that was it. And you just found out about the story when Cousin Cletus decides to come on the air. And
the whole thing with Cousin Cletus was we spent the first 6 or 8 weeks.
Yeah.
Cletus trying to convince Steve that they are actually cousins.
You are not my cousin.
And Steve's like, I do not have a cousin named Cletus. And Cletus is like, well, I don't know how because I got an uncle named Larry. And that's Steve's dad's name is Larry.
Now, my favorite Cousin Cletus bit ever. Russia invaded the country of Georgia. It's all over the news. And then suddenly on the morning show, Cousin Cletus calls in from the Alabama border.
Yeah, he's going to Georgia. By God, if them Russians are coming.
He's protecting the rest of the South from the Russians in Georgia.
Well, that and then, I was on the road one time. I was driving in New Mexico. I had Ken Sibley with me. And it's time for Cousin Cletus. So I call in that morning. And Cletus was, y'all are like, where are you going, Cletus? He was on his way to Chile, Texas, to go save them miners because them Chilean miners down in Chile, the country, were caught in a mine. He was going to Chile, Texas because, the flag for Chile resembles the Texas flag a whole lot. And they're like, Cletus, that's not where they are. Well, by God, I seen the flag. It's Texas flag.
Didn't Cousin Cletus report in on the boy that was supposedly trapped in the balloon that was...
Yes, Balloon Boy.
Balloon Boy, who was never in the balloon
to begin with, yes.
Cousin Cletus called in to report.
Yeah, was going to shoot it down.
Yes.
Had his 30-30 out. And y'all are like, Cletus, do not shoot the balloon. Please, whatever you... For the love of God, do not shoot the balloon. Well, we're going to get him down.
And some of the hardest acting I've ever done, and I've been on stage, I've done 25 musicals, I've done about 40 shows total over 35 years or longer. Some of the most fun acting I've ever do is trying to play straight man to whatever character you're doing. Not get in the way, but keep the conversation going.
Yes. So I was telling the 10-year-old when we were talking about Miss Mercille, I was telling her how she would end every phone call, I love Newports and Jesus, up yours. And then I had to explain to her the up yours, where that came from. And I said, and Steve Harrell started it. He would just reply, up yours too, Miss Mercille. And that just became the thing.
It became a thing. So I was playing at a little free poker tournament here on the square over at the Black Cat. And it getting to be late, and there's only 3 of us left in the tournament. Me, this guy about my size, and then this huge biker-looking guy. Tattoos, leather vest, all that. So we're sitting there, and he goes, and he said, well, I got to be, up pretty early in the morning. I said, man, I got to be on air at 6 o'clock in the morning. He said, on air? I said, yeah, I'm on the radio. Stephen Boomer. He goes, I love Newports and Jesus. I said, well, up yours, brother.
Speaking of, now you and Pojug, y'all made it to TV one time.
We did.
There was a show that used to come on. I almost called it the Nashville Network. It wasn't that.
It was at the time.
Was it still called the Nashville Network?
It was the Nashville Network when they did that show.
There was a show called Can You Duet?
Yes.
And so he and Pojug, and I actually recorded it on our DVR and screenshot it of them. Now they were dressed. I always said y'all were dressed like gay bikers, and Steve would say we were not bikers. He never refused the gay part. So, but they were dressed.
We did look a little like the Village People.
Yeah, there was a YMCA vibe and some strong energy anyway. And but they had on leather vests and Fu Manchu mustaches. I mean,
that was mine. Yeah.
Looked tough. Looked real tough. And then y'all go in and sing these high notes. And
we sang some Diamond Rio. We did really well. We would have made the show, except one thing. We did it on a Saturday, and then Monday, I get a call from a producer. And they want to know if we were real bikers. Well, it'd been a long day. I'd done the morning show. I'd done a couple other shifts. And then I'm in the process of editing the South Arkansas Leader at the time. So my mind's not thinking, I've got to keep the act up. And so somebody called, and I answered, "Hey, are y'all real bikers?" No, we're just playing a part. Which cost us being on the show.
Yeah.
If I'd have told them and given them the story that I had worked out in my head beforehand, we would have been on the actual show. Instead, we got about a second and a half of screen time as they pan down the line.
Yeah.
But we'd done it. We'd gone up the year before, the first season of Can You Duet, and not gotten out of the first round. So the second season, they started 2 months late, because they didn't think they were going to get the show. Then they got it renewed at the last second, so they got to scramble. So they're calling every country radio station in the area, and they called up, and I said, "Listen, I auditioned last year. If you get me out of the first line and get me past the first round, I'll give you 5 minutes on the morning show." So I did. He did.
Yeah.
And we're standing in line, and then that's when I realized just how rigged this thing is.
Oh, yes.
Everybody in the line with us had an agent, and the agent had got them into this line.
Yeah.
Because I'm talking to the people. So it's at least the first couple of rounds are rigged. And so once I blew our story, we didn't make it onto it. But it was a fun experience.
Now, the winners of the season that you were there was a husband and wife duo.
Oh, they were great.
Something and Joey.
Oh, yeah. And then she passed away.
She passed away, yeah.
Yeah, well, she was sick then.
Yeah, she was sick then. They
Rory.
were fabulous. Rory
and Joey.
Yeah, I think that's right. Rory and Joey. I think,
or Joey and Rory. One of those
whatever it was.
But they were fabulous, and they would have been big stars if she had not gotten too sick. And
they were great. But yeah, and that's what a lot of people don't understand is a lot of those shows. There's a reason when you watch American Idol, you see somebody who either blows the judges away or somebody has no business being there.
They want those.
It makes for good TV.
Yeah, it makes for good TV. And that's why we dressed up as bikers and all that. We were trying to make good TV, but we didn't fit into their vision.
Yeah.
And it's all about the producers and what they're looking for. So
yeah.
I enjoyed the experience, but it is what it is. I was disappointed we didn't go any further, but like I said, my mind wasn't right to take that phone call and go from there. But hey, you got to try.
Yeah, that's exactly it, and it was fun. Well, Steve, we have this game that Boomer and I play on occasion called Drunk, High, or Stupid.
Okay, can it be multiples?
Yes, it can be multiples or even all three.
Okay,
so I read the story, and then at the end, you have to tell me
drunk, high, or stupid.
I can see you understand how this works.
I live in New Orleans.
Per a social media post, this is not from a newspaper or a news source. The location was Big Ridge, Alabama. It was a summer Saturday night, roughly an hour northeast of Tuscaloosa.
You went to Alabama, and I went to the street there. Okay, all right.
The humid air smells faintly of pine trees and diesel fuel. 4 distant relatives gathered for what was supposed to be a simple bonfire. 21-year-old Caleb Mankins, 20-year-old J.C. Lewis, 21-year-old Mason Stanley, and 21-year-old Lila Parrish, all of whom are related in a vague family reunion chart kind of way, where nobody's exactly sure how they're related, and everyone agrees it's far enough.
Okay.
Probably. The 4 young people gathered on top of a bluff off of Old Cordova Road. Caleb had brought the firewood. Mason brought a cooler that clanked suspiciously. JC brought a Bluetooth speaker that only worked when it felt like it. And Lila brought the kind of energy that makes 3 people suddenly very competitive for no good reason.
Mm-hmm.
Because here's the thing. All 4 of them had thought at one point or another they'd entertain the idea the others were options. Things started normal enough. Fire crackling, music cutting in and out on the Bluetooth speaker. And someone passed around a bag of chips that had been opened. Then Mason made his first mistake of the evening, saying, quote, "I can jump that ditch," pointing towards a dark stretch beyond the firelight. The ditch in question was less of a ditch and more of a small ravine carved out by rainwater. Maybe 8, maybe 10 feet across. Hard to tell in the dark.
Mm-hmm.
No, you can't, Caleb said immediately, because Caleb had decided early on he wasn't going to lose at anything tonight. Especially not in front of Lila. Mason smirked, "Bet I can." JC rolls her eyes and says, "Y'all are acting like middle schoolers." Lila crosses her arms, trying to look unimpressed, and said, "If you're going to do it, just do it. Quit talking about it." That was all the encouragement Mason needed. Instead of backing up to get a running start like a normal person, Mason took off his shoes and said, "Better grip on dry dirt."
Mm-hmm.
Caleb snorts, "That ain't how physics works." Mason ignored him and said, "What do you know about physics?" Takes off running. He made it about 6 feet, and the rest of him disappeared into the ditch with a sound that can only be described as a human trying to fold himself in midair. There was a pause, a muffled thud, and then a minute or so later, an "I'm good" came from the darkness. Lila laughed, not a polite laugh, the kind that echoes. Caleb cracks his neck and says, "Y'all move out the way." Mm-hmm. He backs up twice as far, pointed at the ditch and said, "You know this is mostly mental." No, Caleb, it's called physics. You said it earlier. You said physics.
You can stop them if you want to.
Yeah.
No.
He ran, he jumped, he almost made it. 1 foot landing on the edge on the far side. Dirt gave way, and suddenly Caleb was in the ditch too, landing directly on top of Mason. JC doubles over laughing. Lila clapped like she just watched a fireworks finale. So naturally, JC says, "I bet I can clear it."
Of course you can.
JC did not remove her shoes. Instead, she grabbed a half-empty water bottle, took a long sip, winced, and said, "That wasn't water." She hands the bottle to Lila, who also took a sip, made a face, then took another sip. JC ran. She jumped. She did not make it across. She didn't even come close. She slips on her takeoff and windmills her arms like she's trying to summon a helicopter as she's sliding down the ditch wall on the near side, taking out both Caleb and Mason with her because they were crawling back to the top. This left Lila sitting atop an igloo cooler alone, holding the mysterious bottle and looking at the ditch. She then removes her top and her bra. She stands up bare-chested and says, "I have a prize for the first one back to the top." There's no word on who made it to the top first, just that anything else that transpired that night on a rural hilltop in North Alabama will forever be just between the four of them. Now, Steve, knowing what you know now,
yes,
were they drunk, high, or stupid?
Okay, first off, stupid just is there.
It's there. It's bred into them.
We knew that when you said Alabama. But definitely stupid. We got to go with drunk.
Yeah, because whatever's in that water bottle.
Right. And I've been to enough parties in South Arkansas. High is not proven. There's not a whole lot to go with high, but drunk definitely, and stupid to the max.
Yeah, stupid is an obvious one, and I'm pretty sure I agree with you. Drunk. So there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. On the drunk, high, or stupid, we have stupid and drunk, and I concur 100%.
There we go.
Yeah. Well, Steve, man, it's first of all, it's good seeing you. I don't even know how many years it's been.
I've been in July. It'll be 7 years in New Orleans.
Gosh, yeah. And we've talked about every time you were coming, getting together. And he to Steve's credit, he'll call me and I'll be like, "Dude, I'm in such and such town, or I'm here, or I'm there, or I'm out chasing a horse." So,
it happens.
Yeah, I laugh all the time because I say, I was telling someone one day about all the stuff I had to go do for this horse, and he said, "Man, I'm glad I don't own a horse." I said, "Me either." He said, "Yeah, you do."
Yeah.
He said, "You just don't know it." And he's right. I ended up owning a horse without knowing it.
There you go. That happens. I've done several stupid things like that I didn't know I was doing at the time.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's great to be back up here. I'm up here visiting folks. I don't get up here as much as I would like, but they're getting up in age.
Yeah.
So I don't want to regret
exactly
not having visited them as much as I could.
Yeah.
I worked last paycheck. I worked 13 out of 14 days.
Yeah.
And I had to tell them, "Hey, I got to do some laundry.
Yeah.
You got to let me have a day off." So I got up here, drove up today. It's a 6-hour drive. But I enjoy seeing the people. I haven't gotten to see you since I've been up there. But my boys, Brandon Pojug and Andrew Russell, who just retired last year from the El Dorado Police Department, I got to visit with them. They've come down to see me twice.
Yeah.
Matter of fact, they came up the week before Mardi Gras.
Yeah, Grant Merrill come down to see you as well.
Grant did. That was a
hoot.
Oh, it was a hoot. Of course, I've enjoyed Grant for years since he was back in Arkadelphia doing radio. So Grant's always a great guy, fun to be around.
Yeah.
I got to meet his family. So,
yes. That was different.
His wife Lauren and his daughter Molly.
I was going. People are seen with you on purpose.
In public on purpose. Yeah.
Yeah. Us radio guys, we're great. Now this is different. Now this is podcast stuff. People are seeing us.
That's right.
That doesn't seem natural.
It doesn't, does it?
But
I'm still listen. This is episode number 53, and I'm still not used to it.
Well, I'm just happy you let me come up and at least defend myself this time, because every time I click on an episode, my name comes up.
It does come up a lot. That's true. That's true.
So I was just happy to get up to defend myself at least once.
Steve, I think about some of the great people we worked with, and we did. I got to tell you, with the exception of a time or two, we always had just really great people that we worked with. Camille, Dusty Ryan.
Dusty Ryan was phenomenal.
Phenomenal to work with. And
she had more talent.
And was not a radio person. We hired her just out of the blue.
She was just an absolute natural.
She was a flirt. So that helped.
So we're doing a remote. I'm doing the remote at Sears, and she's on the board. She's producing. And so she is introducing me before she sends it to me. And she said some very technical things about the tractors you can get at Sears. And when she throws it to me, I go, I have never found you more attractive than I do right now. And I'll be darned, within 30 seconds, her fiance pulled up in front of me.
Yeah. I won't say his name, but your predecessor on the morning show, he was enamored with her. He was just eating up with her all the way.
He was enamored with a lot of women.
He was, and but
I only threatened him once.
Because that was your daughter.
Yeah,
but,
it was.
But he was enamored with her, and there was this one morning. We're all in the studio. We're live on the air, and she goes walking by. And in the Kicks 103 studios, there's these big glass windows, and she goes walking by, and he just stops talking as he watches her walk by. And I just said, hey, never going to happen.
First off, that's not the only time that particular phenomenon has happened.
Yeah.
I remember you and I and Boomer were in the studio one night, and Ms. Arkansas walked by, and the whole place went silent.
Yes.
And I wasn't talking, so I think it was Boomer, just stopped talking. And I said, we really can't have this radio silence at this point. Yes, and I explained. I said, Ms. Arkansas just walked by, and everybody shut up.
Yeah. Of course, there was the morning. This was after we were off the morning show, and it was Boomer and I, and we had a guest who was coming in. But before she came on our show, she was going to go over and be on with Rodney Wimberly on his show. But she looks up and down the hallway, and I knew the moment she did that, moment she looks up and down that hallway and makes sure nobody's seeing, I said, here it comes. And she pops that shirt up, and then
I didn't see that one.
And she pressed him right up against the glass.
Rodney's or
ours?
Oh.
The bad part is we are live on the air. Mic's open. We are live. We're talking. And all I could do is I stopped and looked at Boomer. I said, now who's going to clean that off?
Okay, so I got to give you one compliment. And I think I've told you this before. But when I first got on, and I wasn't supposed to be the morning show host. Y'all hired another guy to do that. He lasted one shift.
One shift, yes.
And so I'm coming on. So you're running the board. I'm sitting over there. You're training me. But Sergeant Major Cal McCracken is talking. And you, Sandy Sanford, is talking to Sergeant Major Cal McCracken. And you're talking over yourself. And I could not figure out how that kept happening. Is you're talking to yourself simultaneously. Or the last word would blend into the other. It was so remarkable. So that was always impressive to me. And nobody believed. Because I tell them, that's Sandy. There's no way that's Sandy.
No way. I hear him talking to him. Yeah.
But that was I always thought that was just so amazing.
That came from years of, I spent 7 years at a radio station where I was the morning guy. I was the sales manager. I was the operations manager. I was the engineer. I was everything. There were only two of us. It was the owner and me. And then we had one part-time guy, but he was a high school kid who came in when the bus let him off, But I I would do this morning show, and we had this huge signal, and I'm just like, I can't do a morning show by myself and make it to be a morning show that people want to listen to. You know, it would just be boring. So I just started inventing characters, and that's when I came up with I found out I could do a Bill Clinton impersonation. And so fast forward to 2012, and Bill Clinton comes to El Dorado, and he's the guest speaker at the El Dorado Promise signing event. Mm-hmm. And I go down on the floor to meet him, and he looks at me and says, so I hear you made a pretty good living off of imitating my voice. And I just smile. I don't say a word. Well, I got to hear it. I was like, oh, no, sir. Because the last thing you want to do is an impersonation of someone to them.
Right.
And especially a president of the United States.
You don't want to be disrespectful.
Yeah, and listen, he never said things that were respectful. No. When I was impersonating him. So he's not letting up. I've got it. So finally, I just looked at him and said, it was a Republican's fault that I screwed up. And he looks at me and says, and it was. Just that moment. And, Steve, we've been, like I said, we work with so many great. Casey Wright. It was as good a person as there ever existed.
Absolutely.
And then when Casey passed away, he had no burial policy, had no life insurance. And I called Steve and I said, Steve, we got to do something. We've got to do something for him. And Steve said, let's put on a karaoke night. And so, credit to you. I mean, you basically put that whole thing together. We raised like $3,400 for him. Patrick Thomas, who's no longer with us.
I didn't know that one. I didn't know Patrick had passed.
Yeah, Patrick passed. He had driven to his daughter's college. She was in the band and went and performed at halftime at a football game. He went to that game and was driving back and just had a heart attack while he was driving. And passed away on the side of a highway.
Patrick, just salt of the earth, good guy.
Yeah, good guy. And but when Patrick first started working for us, if you remember, we hired him. He was a Domino's driver.
Yeah.
And then we found out that he had a little radio experience, but we didn't know it was 17 years.
Right.
And Patrick he would be the first to tell you, he was never the best voice in the building.
No.
He was never the most requested voice for spots or remotes. But one thing about Patrick was he was going to show up. And by gosh, he was going to work his butt off.
He was solid.
He was solid. Dependable.
You could depend on him for anything you needed. He was going to be there.
Yeah.
But yeah, we had great people.
I'm sorry, real quick. My point was, when we first hired him, he was working at Domino's, and it was wintertime, and it was like 13 degrees that night, and we found out he didn't have heat. And so just amongst the employees, we didn't make a big deal of it. We just took up a little collection, and we gave him the money. And in the meantime, I called Phil Herring and said, Phil, if you'll go fill up his propane tank, just send me the bill. Whatever it is, I don't care. Fill it up. And so Phil did. So he had the money, and we filled up his propane tank. And I remember he bawled for days. Yep. Like he couldn't even look at any of us without crying because Patrick was so tenderhearted.
He was.
And so when Casey Wright passed away, he didn't come to karaoke night. He came to my office the next day, and he said, there was a time, he said, you may not remember, but I was without heat, and y'all all took up money for me. And he said, I'm at a place in my life now where I can help somebody else. And he handed me $200 to send with that money for Casey. And I remember thinking to myself, he's never been prouder of $200 than he was that day to be able to help. But Casey, Rodney Wimberly, another great character we worked with.
Rodney Wimberly. He was a character. But he knew what he was talking about. Very smart guy.
Very, very smart guy.
A little off the wall.
Yes.
But that's part of his charm.
That's who he is, though, yeah.
Now, my first job on the air, I was sidekicking on 96 with CJ, who I like CJ.
Love CJ.
But we were talking, we're live on the air having this conversation. And he says, oh, good news, my wife, who's just started as an insurance agent, got me another life policy. Another one. How many she got? Oh, I think it's like 4 now. I said, man, you're going to have to start cooking your own food because she got a number in her head.
Once she gets
there, yeah, you got to cook your own food from then on out. So, yeah, trust me, that ain't a good news thing.
Paul Orr, we worked with.
Oh, yeah.
Paul, I have to tell you, Paul Orr was one of the most talented, single-handedly most talented individuals I've ever seen in radio ever.
Yeah, you got me kicked off the morning show.
Yeah, well, I mean, you have that kind of talent come through.
No,
the problem was he couldn't back time himself into a segment to save his life. I ended up having to put Steve back on the morning show just to make sure we timed out the segments properly because he couldn't do it.
I would sneak into the other studio to time it out, and then he got offended. But you go, listen, you want to tick off every little old lady in South Arkansas? Don't let Paul Harvey come on time.
Boy, let me tell you, I got phone calls all the time about something on the radio, but let Paul Harvey be late and find out what happens.
Yeah.
Man, that was sacrilege. J.R. Schumann.
Oh, yeah, J.R. Oh, my God. He was just kind of one of those stars that you just kind of knew was going through.
And that's what I always said. In El Dorado, Arkansas, when you're hiring DJs or golf professionals, you're either getting someone who's on their way up or on their way down.
Yeah.
You're not, very rarely anyway, you're not going to hire someone who's 30 years old and going to be here for 30 years.
Right.
You're going to get somebody who's on their way up or their way down. JR was definitely on his way up.
On his way up. And is he still at?
No, he has left XM Sirius. He had eventually become vice president of country programming for XM Sirius Radio. He's no longer with them. He is managing. He manages a couple of bands and the Von Erich family.
Okay.
Yeah, he's managing the Von Erich family.
What are the Von? Oh, I saw the grandsons here in El Dorado wrestle. Years ago.
Yeah,
before I left town.
Mark Gibbons put that on.
Yeah,
but there's still a couple of Von Erichs that are still out there, and JR manages them. And
interesting.
He manages a group. I don't know a whole lot about them. I've listened to a little bit of their music called the Nicotine Dolls.
I've heard of them.
I had to, and but Drew, who did the show with Dusty over on 96.
Yes.
Her humor to me was perfect because she's dry.
Yeah.
She was very, very frank and very dry.
Well, she was at the front desk.
Yes.
When we found out, and that Boomer and I found out how funny she was, and we started bringing her back into our prep meetings because she was so funny.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Great, But and then we've had some duds, like you said, the guy that made it one shift. And let me just explain to y'all how this works. In radio, at least back then, what you would do is you would send in an air check. And an air check is you would catch maybe the last few seconds of a song, and that DJ would come on and say, hey, that's the latest from George Strait, and this is such and such, and this time is, and weather today, and blah, blah, blah. And coming up next, we've got Tracy Lawrence. And there would be 8 or 10 of those segments. And this guy's air check come in, and it was one of the best I'd ever heard. It was funny. It was topical. It was recent. And I'm like, man, we got to give this guy a shot. I call him up, bring him in for an interview. He drives to El Dorado. We interview him. Good interview. Hire him. Give him a contract. He signs it. Helped him find a place to live.
Yep.
And this first day, he comes in on the radio. Morning show starts at 6 a.m. First break is normally about 6:03, 6:04. He cranks that mic open and says,
nothing.
And he freezes. And Boomer's like, you got to talk. And he just looks at Boomer and hits the next button and goes to the next song. That was that. And I tried to talk to him to see nothing. I don't think I ended up having to fire him. I think he just didn't come back after lunch that day.
Oh, no, he was here.
Was he?
Yeah, he was here for a little bit. He didn't do morning shows. The one thing I remember about people not coming back was, I don't know why I was the one. We may not have had a PD or production manager or any other managers, but there was one time.
Don't cover your mouth.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
There was one time I got called into your office with an employee, and you fired them.
I did.
4 times in about 20 minutes, and they never understood.
He did not understand that he was fired.
Yeah. So Monday, don't come here. You do not have a job here. You had actually gone out and found this guy.
I did. I found him a job
at another radio station in Texas, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
So he had a job on Monday. He just wasn't here.
And here was the issue. This young man worked for us and was a pretty good employee.
Yeah.
He wasn't great, but he was good. He was solid. And then one day he just doesn't show up to work.
Mm-hmm.
And we're all like, hey, we're so-and-so. It's not like him to not show up.
You were in Little Rock.
That's right. I was in Little Rock.
Because I got the phone call mid-morning because he hadn't showed up, and we're wondering where he is. And you called me and told me to check. Because at the time I was a news director, and I had access to both the Sheriff's Department reports and the El Dorado PD. And also, and everybody's got access to it now, but the docket of people who are in the jail right now. So you told me to check jail records. Sure enough, he was there. It took me a while to figure that out because I'd already looked through them before, but I didn't see him because his radio name was not his real name.
Was different. His on-air name and his real name were different. Yeah. So they called me in Little Rock and say because we had actually called his mother.
Oh, I didn't know he'd called his mother.
I called his mom. Yeah. And because I remember calling Sharon, I said, find his application and find his emergency contact.
Right.
Because we'd sent someone over to his apartment and he wasn't there. And now we don't know where this guy is. And it was just so out of character for him.
Right.
He had consumed some adult beverages and an Ambien and realized he could not drive home. So he pulls over into a parking lot over on the Industrial Loop. Over Industrial Drive. And is sleeping it off when the police pull up and they take him to jail for DWI. I still think that's a bullshit charge, but it is what it is. He makes the fatal mistake of blowing into the machine, which everyone who watches this podcast knows. I've told you, I was a patrol sergeant in charge of a DWI task force. Never, ever, ever do the field sobriety tests and never blow in the machine. They are not designed for you to pass. But he blows in the machine and he fails.
Yeah.
And he loses his license.
Yes.
Well, a big portion of his job was driving.
He delivered the South Arkansas leader around the county.
I couldn't keep him on board if he can't drive.
Right.
And so I have to let him go. And I feel for the kid.
Well, for 2 weeks you made me drive him around so he could deliver the papers.
I didn't remember who all I made do that. But I had to let him go, and so I helped find him a job in radio where he wouldn't have to drive, where they didn't need him to have a valid driver's license. And that poor kid never understood the fact that I'm firing you.
Yeah.
Now, you've got a job Monday there, but not here.
Yeah. And listen, you explained that very slowly several times. He never did get it. And I don't think he ever showed up for that job.
He didn't. He never did.
So,
and then there was the guy I had to fire because he sexually harassed one of our clients. It was a sales guy.
I remember that. I also think that was a little BS because I knew her.
Well, I don't know. I just knew that there was an accusation and there was enough there it was legitimate. He couldn't deny it.
Well, if he can't deny, listen, like I said, I know her. And I came to you and defended him a little bit.
Yep.
But if there was enough that he's got to go, he's got to go, unfortunately.
So I'm letting this guy go. His supervisor's sitting next to him, and this guy loses his mind and starts screaming and hollering at me. And I said, listen, friend, here's what you need to know. You can see this hand. What you can't see is the other hand. Don't mess around and get shot in my office.
There you go. So, real quick, before we wrap all this up, several of my favorite segments of all time, Diamond Dave.
Yes.
The time he was going to go one-on-one with a high school linebacker.
Or ride a bull.
No. That was the second one.
Yeah.
A couple of weeks later, because I was setting him up and he did not know it. There were two new linebackers at SAU. Now, no coach is going to let his high school linebacker go out there and go Oklahoma drill with a full-grown man. But SAU might want to send one of them because they had two new linebackers. One had just transferred in from Alabama, the other one from Ole Miss. So I was going to get those two guys to come on a Friday night, suit up in an El Dorado high school. And I was working on getting this set up when we transferred. It was about a week or two later. We had the big bull. You came in starting talking about Bodacious and how great he was. And Dave, who knows nothing about rodeo.
Nothing.
Starts talking, well, how long you got to ride?
8 seconds.
Oh, that's not very long. It is if you're on the thing. And then we go along, and so the Parker's Chapel people called in, wonderful people, the rodeo, and they had a bull ride once a month, and they were going to sponsor it and bring him out there and let him ride the bull. And then he goes, you think we could get some sponsors for this? I go, oh, yeah. ProMed Ambulance, Medical Center of South Arkansas, Perry's Funeral Home. And then I told that story to a young lady a couple of days ago, and she said, oh, don't forget the florists.
Yeah, that's right.
I
The
said,
florists.
Oh, that's good, too.
Yeah. The orthopedic surgeons.
Oh, gosh.
All of them, yeah.
We can make money.
We can make a lot of money
one.
off this deal. Yeah.
That's when his wife found out about it.
Yeah, and that got stopped real quick. He had a friend that he would call. Sometimes we would call him on the air, and I don't remember his friend's name. But that guy, you could not stump him with a sports trivia question.
I remember that.
And I don't remember his name. I don't remember his name, but I do remember the question I asked him. I said, who is the only player in NBA history to win Defensive Player of the Year, MVP, and Finals MVP?
Same year?
All the same season.
Ooh, I don't even know that one.
Hakeem the Dream Olajuwon. But he knew it like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then something got brought up about Al Del Greco, who was the kicker for the Houston Oilers / Tennessee Titans.
Yeah.
And then we found out that there was a backstory to that with Diamond Dave and this guy.
Had actually pretended to be Al Del Greco in a bar in Memphis or
Little Rock, something like that. And started getting free drinks because everyone thought this is the kicker for the Tennessee Titans.
That is hilarious.
That is hilarious.
I paid for Christmas 3 years in a row off poker games at Diamond Dave's house.
Yeah.
Because I had a strategy and it never failed. Because we would play stupid games. Whoever's dealing got to pick the rules. So we were playing wild cards and Omaha, where all the cards are playable. So I'd do that for a couple hours, and then Diamond Dave knew I'd played No Limit Hold'em down in Shreveport, and so he'd get all big and bad, and he'd want to play. Well, I've got experience, and I'd always tell him, I don't want to play. Let's just play what we're playing. And it was, no, we're playing No Limit Hold'em. Okay. So we play that until Dave ran out of money. Then he'd kick us all out of his house.
Yes.
But that was $300 or $400, and I do have more experience, and I'd win almost every time we got to the No Limit Hold'em part. So, like I said, 2 or 3 nights of Dave's poker night, I paid for Christmas 3 years in a row.
A lot of great times, a lot of great fun.
Absolutely.
We've had over the years, and more so than any of that is Steve and I've just always had a good friendship.
Yeah.
And I will say there's been more than one time where Steve was the guy who walked in my office, and I'm not trying to over dramatize it, but running a group of radio stations is tough. Running a whole region of radio stations is almost impossible. And there was times that the stress would just be so much, and I would end up lashing out at the people who were in my studios in El Dorado because of something that happened in Arkadelphia or Malvern or Hot Springs. And Steve would be the guy who would come in and say, "Hey, I realize, what's going on, but maybe you get the chance, you might want to circle back around with so and so."
Now, one of the things, we had an employee that went away and came back.
We had several of those, by the way.
Yeah. Well, this one in particular, something had happened, and he said to you that I was your yes man.
I do remember that.
And you, no. First off, we had a relationship where, and I argued with you a lot.
You did.
You would spout it out. I would tell you why I thought you went wrong on that particular thing.
Yeah.
But then, let's just say I'm the quarterback. You're the coach. You've called the play. I've given you my opinion. If you still call that same play, I ran that play.
Yeah.
Because that's our roles.
I will say that is absolutely true for Steve. There would be times he would say, "Sandy, I don't think that's a good idea." And I'd say, "Steve, you see all this? I run this." At the end of the day, my whole thing, it wasn't about I run this,
right.
But at the end of the day, it was my name, it was my butt on the line. And if I'm going to go down, by God, we're going to go down doing what I said we're going to do.
Right.
And I'm not going to go down for someone else's. And Steve would say, "Boss, you got it."
Yeah.
And he would do it. And that was one thing I always appreciated about our working relationship was you would feel free to come in and say, "Hey, I think you're making a mistake," or "Hey, have you considered this?" But then at the end of the day, you would just do whatever we finally came up with was the decision. And I think that drove some people crazy because they didn't understand. I needed that. I needed that person because evidently, and I didn't realize it, I look back now and see it, but evidently I intimidated my employees, and that's never what I wanted to do. What I wanted to do was I wanted them to always know I'm in charge.
Right.
So if you have a problem, you can always bring it to me because ultimately I'm in charge. If you have a question, you can ask me because ultimately I'm in charge. I never wanted to intimidate, but evidently I did intimidate a lot of employees, so they wouldn't tell me what they were thinking, but they'd tell Steve.
Yeah.
And so Steve would come back around with me and say, hey, how about we think about it from this standpoint? And there were times where I'm like, never thought about that, and we would change what we were going to do.
But yeah, we had a good relationship because I wasn't scared to tell you what I thought you needed to know.
Yeah.
Then you can make an informed decision.
Yes.
And go from there. And then we run the play. Whatever you called, that's where we're running. But you need to know this.
One of my favorite stories was we had stations in another town. Grant Merrill was managing those stations. And Grant calls me and says, hey, I gave so-and-so a PSA. That's a public service announcement. I gave him a PSA to go and record in the studio. He told me he's not going to do it because he's the voice of the station, and his voice should be saved for paying clients only. Now, for Grant to call me, I knew he was already at his wit's end. And I said, we're in the middle of a staff meeting.
Yep.
I said, everybody, excuse me just a second. I said, put him on the phone. He puts him on the phone. I said, let me explain to you. I am in the middle of a staff meeting. I'm going to stop this staff meeting as soon as we hang it up. And I'm going to drive to Arkadelphia. And when I get there, if you've not already cut this PSA, I'm going to fire your ass. Do you understand me? And I just hung up. I stopped the staff meeting. I said, sorry, guys, I got to go. Before I get to the door, Grant calls me and says, he's recording the PSA.
And now, speaking of Arkadelphia and radio stations, when we took them over, they didn't have the proper equipment to do a football game.
They did not.
So you and I went up there to see what they had and
wondered
what we
if
needed. And so we needed a telephone. We needed a cell phone. So we go to
Verizon, I think.
Verizon store, and we go in, and there is 2 people there. There's 4 people in line before us, and nobody's even given us the time of day. They've not introduced themselves. They've not done anything. We're there about 10 minutes, and Sandy goes, go get the equipment. So I go get the headsets out of the car, and we hook up the radio equipment to one of the phones.
Now, seriously, we're talking about like a full Verizon store. It is busy. They got stuff going on. And all of a sudden, you got these 2 guys that walk in with these bags of equipment, and we just unhook one of their
cell phones,
display phones, and we start hooking up equipment to it, and we start making phone calls with it.
Oh, no. You're calling from one side of the room, and you're going, the eagle has landed. The eagle has landed.
Sleepers arise.
And I took the phone number down with every intention of calling the telephone the next week.
I still have that phone number in my phone.
Oh, wow.
I still have it in my phone.
We never called them back.
I think it's under Arkadelphia phone, or it's either under Sleepers Arise.
Oh,
because Steve said, right now, he said, because it was right during the time when we found out that the NSA had been listening to conversations. He said, right now, there's somebody filling out a green form on us right now.
But, by the way, if you recall, within like 45 seconds, we had some help.
All of a sudden, we were the most important people in that store.
No doubt.
Yeah, we ended up buying phones from them and all that. But yeah, I was thinking about that the other day. I thought, man, I hadn't thought about that in forever. Sleepers arise.
Sleepers arise.
We had a lot of fun. Man, there was some stuff. One time, I got a phone call from the Arkadelphia stations. This was after Grant was gone. And they said, man, we're off the air. We're off the air. We don't know what to do. We're off the air. And I was like, okay, I'm on my way. I'm being an hour and a half,
Yeah.
So I take off. And about the time I get to Sparkman was about the time I could pick that station up. So I flip over there and I hit the station. Well, there's a carrier. So we're not off the air. We just have dead air.
Yeah.
And now I have no cell service between Sparkman and Arkadelphia. And I'm already to Sparkman. Let me go on into Arkadelphia, right? But I'm thinking all the way there. If I walk in those studios and they just don't have the program button pushed on the board, so you have 2 buttons on a board. One is program, one is audition. Audition means I just hear it in my headphones. Program means it's going over the air. Sure enough, I walk in and the audition button is pushed and not the program button. And I walk in, I looked that operations manager dead in the face and I went, bink, and turn around and walk right back out.
Wow.
Oh, I was so pissed. That's when I sent Patrick up there. I said, Patrick, I need somebody in Arkadelphia who at least knows how to run a damn radio station.
So you were doing something in the studio. I'm driving through downtown El Dorado. All of a sudden, the station comes off, and I hear. Then I hear you say something. So I immediately called the front desk and said, "Tell Sandy he's live on the air." And then I hear, "I am not." I said, "Tell him he damn sure is."
Yeah.
The wiring got mixed up.
Something, yeah. The funny part is what I always told the DJs was that, look, I don't care what you talk like outside of this room. I don't care if you use every 4-letter word in the book. I don't care. But when you walk through that threshold of that doorway, it stops. Because it's not a matter of if. It's only a matter of when. That your microphone's going to be open and you're going to be live on the air and you not know it. And it happens to every single person who's ever been in radio.
Oh, yeah.
That does live radio. It's going to happen. And it happened to Boomer.
It did.
And I'm like calling Steve like, Boomer's on the air. Boomer's live on the air. Boomer, you're on the air.
I never got caught cussing on the air, which is amazing because my real vocabulary has a lot of those words in it.
Yeah.
But I never got caught on the air. I think everybody else at the station did.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
Well, it was, listen, I've enjoyed visiting up here.
Absolutely.
It's great catching up. Next time I'm back up here, which unfortunately probably won't be 6-8 months, I'll make sure I come back. Maybe we can do this again.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. You have an open invitation.
I appreciate
that. And that invitation still extends that whenever you're here, whatever day of the week, we'll make sure to accommodate you and get you on the podcast with us. That's going to do it for us. For J.W. Meisenheimer, who's our producer behind the scenes, for Steve Harrell, for Boomer, I'm Sandy. This has been Off the Back Porch. God bless. Have a great week.
With a history of being the voices you trust, this is Off the Back Porch.